was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock, because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our summer weather certainly taking a little bit of a vacation, and we will take it. And this cool flow from the northwest gets stronger for the second half of the weekend. Mostly sunny this afternoon, 85 degrees, clear skies tonight. What a great evening. 67 for the low. Friday and Saturday sunny, 89 each day. Sunday sunny, the high of 83, 50 Sunday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
As I start the show here this afternoon, just a little confusion based on what I'm seeing on my Fox monitor. Well, two things. Will Kane has a shirt on, which is kind of unusual. Fred, did you see that the other day?
No.
Okay.
Was he doing push-ups or pull-ups?
Yes. And I think it's very brave for anyone to do a television show without their shirt. And he was with a group of people. And so I heard Kilmeade joking about it this morning because Kilmeade's got an event coming up in I don't know if it's Dallas. I think it's Dallas. So we're going to have Brian on. Usually we have him on Wednesday or Thursday, but he could not do today. So I think we're going to get him tomorrow, right? Right. And he's doing an event similar to what he did here in St. Louis. And Will Kane is going to be there. And he said, he made the crack. He goes, I don't know if he's going to have a shirt on or not, but you couldn't pay me enough to go on television without a shirt on. You know, Sue, we used to have these things where, and maybe we've gotten away from them, Fred, but every year it was a tradition where the one of the healthcare groups would come in and do flu shots, remember?
Right.
And I was always extremely careful to make sure that I wore short sleeve shirts on that day because I didn't want to have to take my shirt off.
Funny.
And that was when really nobody was seeing me on a camera here in the studio. But no, that would not be something that I would be in favor of. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to get to here. I'm very excited because my friend George Gray from The Price is Right is coming in to do The Price is Wrong in the next hour. Let me just kind of get to some of the stuff here that's on my mind. And honestly, for some of it, I can't believe that we're still talking about this. I may have referenced this yesterday a little bit. I can't remember, but there is a high school that is outside of the Chicago area near Schaumburg, Illinois. I know this area very well. My mom and dad used to live in Rolling Meadows in the Schaumburg area. I grew up for the first 14 years of my life in Niles and Park Ridge and Morton Grove. And man, that sounded like a Diet Coke being cracked over there, but it wasn't.
No.
I could hear that. I wonder if the audience could hear
LaCroix.
that.
Sorry about that.
It's a beautiful sound to me because it reminds me of Diet Coke. Anyway, this is Conan High School. And Sue, again, how does this keep happening? You have a 6'4" male. You 70 girls trying out for the team. Apparently 69 girls and one man. Only 23 made it on the 24-player roster.
Wait, what team is it?
This is a volleyball team at Conant High School.
You could hurt somebody as a 6'4" guy on a women's volleyball team.
Well, we in fact have seen that happen.
Yes.
But here again, it has happened. And here the parents showed up to a meeting a couple of nights ago.
I'm disgusted by the way this district has dismissed the safety of these young girls, as well as the safety of the young girls on the opposing teams that they will be playing. I am disgusted that the district is robbing these young women of athletic opportunities, not only at the high school level, but potential opportunities to compete at the collegiate level. The district is in direct violation of a federal executive order and risks losing their federal funding.
By the way, here's something that's really fun about this. The kid's never played volleyball before either. It's not like he was playing junior high volleyball and all this. No, just decided, hey, you know what? I'm 6'4". I could dominate in this sport.
A girl's responsibility to feel uncomfortable or unsafe for the sake of a boy pretending to be a girl. He should be participating in sports designated for boys because he will always be one. When do the girls in D211 get to feel safe, recognized, and protected?
So here's what the school district says. It is ridiculous. Information regarding individual students and coaches is confidential. District 211 supports students' access to district athletic opportunities consistent with board policy. The board's policy is that the students can compete in the category with which they, quote, identify, unquote, and biological reality, safety, fairness, and privacy are of no consequences. Yeah. So that's great, right?
That's wonderful.
Who cares about any of that other stuff?
And Mark, you're right. There was a story out about the woman a girl who was injured by a guy playing in the women's teams, right, in that bracket. Yeah. And that is a story that we all saw, but yet they just go right past it.
On the topic of Mr. Kilmeade, and this is where I heard him earlier when he was talking about the show on Saturday, but he weighed in on this.
70 kids try out for the team, 23 make it, and this trans athlete makes it. And the girls' parents are outraged. Also, the fact is the trans athlete uses the women's locker room. Haven't we been over this? Here's what's heartening about it. These parents feel bold enough to stand up and where a few years ago they'd be saying, well, you know, this doesn't seem right. Now they know it's wrong. And even in Illinois, with their ridiculous governor who thinks he's doing the Lord's work by standing up for trans athletes and against girls, he is allowing this to happen. And they're standing up in Illinois. And now a lot of the parents say, my kid gets cut so this athlete can play.
It's utterly ridiculous. But, you know, here's the other thing that's fascinating about these stories. It's always fascinating. I'm never going to have an answer to this. This is a story that should be widely covered by the media. This should not be, you know, just a little mention somewhere. The New York Times, the Washington Post, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, ESPN, they should cover this story, right?
It's
the Chicago
really
Tribune,
hard
they don't cover it. Yeah, it's extremely.
Outkick had it,
right?
But I couldn't find it like hardly anywhere else.
Outkick broke it, and then I went looking for the school board video, and now that's out there. Because people are pissed off. But again, why is it the alternative media? People say, well, you're the media. Well, it's the alternative media. And then Fox covered the story because they found out from Outkick. But these things happen all the time. It's not something that's rare in these school districts. They hide behind the cloak of whatever law is passed in the state. Now, I don't know if their attorneys are telling them, well, we have to do this because we're going to face a lawsuit in the other direction because the law in Illinois protects these trans athletes just because they say that they want to compete with the girls. And then we had the situation from Loudoun County. I highlighted that yesterday where it was kind of a different reverse situation where there was a biological girl who was in a boys' locker room, and the boys were like, wait a second here, what's going on? They weren't supposed to, you're not supposed to record. It's common sense and against the law that you should not record or use your phone or video in a restroom. The trans chick does, and she's not the one who's punished. It's the other two kids. So that's a lot of craziness. Here's some more craziness. So yesterday, you know, I played some of the audio. Pete Hegseth and the vice president and Stephen Miller were over at Union Station yesterday. It was kind of a photo op thing, but just to highlight what was going on. And then the white hippie protesters played right into it and, you know, gave them all kinds of moments because they were acting like idiots. The liberal media is still criticizing that, but they're always looking for these moments that could harm the administration. And here's a reporter yesterday, and her name is Amy Cho, and this goes viral and millions of people see it. She's at the National Mall, and the report is News 4 was on the mall to cover another story when we saw law enforcement pull a man over. Officers and agents appeared to make a traffic stop of a man in a blue SUV with an Uber decal. He got out of the car and he spoke with law enforcement. After about 12 seconds out of the car, he appears to try to escape. And he does. He kind of tries to get out of, you know, these guys talking to him. They tackle him to the ground and he starts screaming in Spanish. And I'm going to kind of play the beginning of this because this is more of what we would call like natural sound. Because if you understand Spanish, you'll know what he's saying. He's screaming out, I don't owe anything. I don't owe anything. Please, I'm not a criminal. I work here. I want to be with my family. And this goes on for several minutes, and they're trying to, tackle him and get him into custody, and it's not really working very well. He says, my family has papers, my family and my children, please, please. He screams as he's loaded into the SUV. And then at the end of all this is that reporter that I mentioned that yells out a question because now she's all upset about this.
What is he being arrested for?
David Pérez, tío Fanny, okay? Yo no hice nada.
So millions and millions of views. Amy Cho put this clip on Instagram. It had at one point been liked by 13,000 people, probably more than that at this point. But here's some of the comments. And those of you who are astute listeners to the program probably know by this point that the end result of this story is going to be just a little different than it was explained by Amy Cho. So here's somebody that says, I don't owe anything. Yono de Bonata, a brown man pleading for his humanity, for his dignity, stating he's not a criminal, is law-abiding, works as a family man, just wants to be safe with his family in his home. Here's another one. We are literally watching kidnappings. Another, this is really like when George is here this afternoon. Remember, his rule is if it's in all caps, you got to shout it. So this is really sad. The president said he would deport criminals only. That was in caps too. Instead, he's deporting hardworking people. I get it that they may be in the country illegally, but come on, there should be some sort of compassion for everyday people just trying to make a living. Here's another comment. If you can watch this and not feel your heart being ripped out of your chest, you're dead inside. He's saying he doesn't know anything. He just wants to be with his family, that he just works. Incredibly heartbreaking. How do these men sleep at night is another comment. I hate this, all of it. When will deliverance from this administration come? Another comment. He just wants to go home to his wife and kids after a hard day of work. It goes on and on and on. Then there's Jessica Tarlov. And Jessica Tarlov is a lefty who is on Fox quite a bit. She's on the 5 with her perspective. And her tweet was, this doesn't make D.C. safer. It'll just make people not come to D.C. The cruelty is always the point. Well, unfortunately for Jessica, who has deleted her tweet, and everyone else who has commented, and the sad part about this is most of the people who commented probably don't know the truth here, but this guy is not only someone who has a final order of removal and came back to this country 3 times, he has already had his day in court before an immigration judge. A judge sent him home. He didn't leave, and then he crossed the border 3 times illegally. He's been arrested and charged with aggravated sexual battery against a child, and a child under the age of 13, felony indecent liberties, proposed sex acts. There was another one. There was another charge for a child under 15, and they threw that case out because the parents didn't want to put the kid through it. So it's just ridiculous. And I don't know if any of the main networks, like if CNN or anyone else did this, but the reaction, this is what they're waiting for. They're waiting for a moment like this that they can splash all over the X or Instagram. And in this case, again, it's a completely false narrative because a reporter decided to put a video up without knowing the facts.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Wow. Okay, on the roads, thank you to Jeannie Sullivan about letting me know about the accident, Manchester at Mason. And westbound traffic is just jammed out there. It's back past Barrett Station Road. A couple of vehicles involved. Now, on the interstates, it's not bad yet. Westbound 70 is fine out of downtown. Just a little bit of moderate volume as you head toward K. And then things open up and look okay. Now, westbound 64, slowing. Hampton out through McCausland, slowing eastbound at Timberlake Manor. And then westbound again, headed out for 70 from Highway N. And if you are headed into Illinois, things look fine on the bridges downtown, but eastbound 5570 is slow. Eastbound 5564 is slow, headed for the 70 split. And there's a jam on southbound 55, headed down toward Bates. This report brought to you by Infinite Vitality. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Tired of aging skin? Infinite Vitality reverses collagen loss, tightens with Morpheus and microneedling, and fades age spots. Look naturally younger, not plastic. Visit infinite-vitality.com. Mention Annie for a $50 credit.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. If you or anyone in your family has been injured in a car accident, call us now, as the time to file a claim may be limited. Last year, more clients hired Morgan & Morgan than ever before, protecting America, fighting for you. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
That baby's gone.
Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals.
That ball was mashed.
And there are more ways to watch this season.
Holy cow!
Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts.
How about that play?
Or watch through a TV provider.
Incredible.
Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more.
He got it!
Learn more at cardinals.com/TV.
Ball game! That couldn't have worked out, and he's better for the Cardinals.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid weekly. This Medicaid program is available to eligible St. Louis residents. New to Medicaid? The Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is available through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid weekly. So go to freedomcare.com now, or for faster service, call 314-697-4912, 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Freedom Care, we're here for you.
The Mark Reardon Show, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
So you know how we are fascinated with the whole Brian Kohlberger story out there in Idaho.
Yes.
And Paul Mauro has been a great, correspondent for us on a variety of topics. Well, he went out and he interviewed the Idaho police chief.
Interesting.
Who spearheaded the investigation, and Paul's going to join us after the bottom of the hour. Yeah, we have some audio from that. Also, Trump's doing a ride-along tonight in D.C. The lefties will have their heads explode after that moment as well. But, he's pretty good at the retail politics. You go to McDonald's, you drive in the trash truck up there in Green Bay. Now you do this, and, you show people that you're trying to crack down on crime. So brilliant move politically, I would say. Let's see if Charles Lipson agrees with us this afternoon. Professor Emeritus at the University of Chicago. He writes at the Spectator magazine, Real Clear Politics, and also at his website, charleslipson.com. How are you, Charles? Good afternoon. It's been a little bit. Good to hook up with you.
It's good to hook up with you. As long as you owe me money, I'm going to agree with everything you say. I'm not. But I gotta say about the various promos and so forth. I heard somebody else say "Holy cow!" I thought that could only be said by the great Harry Carey.
Yeah, that's his. That was his moniker. There's no doubt about that, right? But we tend to
holy cow.
We tend to disassociate our. That was a holy cow with the Cubs, not a holy cow when he was covering the Cardinals. But yeah, absolutely, that's kind of a.
Is that so? That's a really interesting thing. I did not know that he started that up in Chicago.
I think so. I mean, I don't know if "Holy Cow" was something he used here in St. Louis when he was
I don't
broadcasting. Maybe
either.
it was, but I think it kind of caught on more so in Chicago.
Well, we're the meat packer to the world.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let me ask you on that story I just mentioned with Trump driving around and doing this in D.C. You do have a lot of folks on the left that aren't happy about what he's doing because it's more fascism. Apparently, that's what is happening in D.C. Here's a little audio from yesterday with the lefties.
For them to talk about that these policies or bringing the National Guard is to actually make it safer for Black communities is actually insulting.
J.D. Vance took his campaign for the Republican presidential nomination to Union Station today to bring Shake Shack burgers to the National Guard troops who are foolishly now deployed to Union Station to do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, they go on and on about that. Now, look, I do think that some of this is politics because there's always politics involved and you have photo ops and things like that. But what happened yesterday at Union Station just totally played in to the vice president and Pete Hegseth and Stephen Miller because you had all these white hippies out there, none of whom have ever been victims of crime in Black neighborhoods or elsewhere, yelling about fascism, et cetera. Charles?
I'm with you there. It's amazing to me that you can take, this isn't an 80-20 issue, this is a 95-5 issue, and get the Democrats' activist base, to take the 5% side.
Yeah, they do it all the time.
People want safe cities. Now, I do think that if you start moving National Guard troops in beyond protecting federal buildings in other cities, in Chicago, which desperately needs more policing, in L.A.,
in St. Louis.
Yes,
right.
But there is a problem there. There was a problem with the militarization of the police before. There, just sort of too much firepower, not enough people. We need a lot more people, but this should be a local responsibility, and I think Trump gets something right here, and I think it appeals to the minority communities that are infested with crime.
Yeah, I'm with you all the way on that. All right, so let's talk about Trump and Putin and Zelensky and whether or not any of this is moving in the direction of ending that war. Obviously, it was something President Trump talked about during the campaign. He had indicated this thing would be over right away. The left likes to point to that. In fairness, he did claim that this situation would be solved. We have diplomacy at work, certainly in Alaska, but it's hard for me to believe that Zelensky and Putin are going to get in the same room anytime soon. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that getting them together is the least of the problems, though it will be a serious matter because Putin will think that he's a much more powerful figure and that he is, in effect, acknowledging Zelensky, who represents a country Putin doesn't even think should exist, he's giving him too much credence. But I think that the real problem is that Putin right now thinks he's winning the war. The longer it continues, the better his position will be. It's hard to know if the Ukrainians are willing to give up very much in return for a peace, but if they were to give up anything, they would need real security guarantees. And let me say something about that. Ukraine had nuclear weapons. They were left on Ukrainian soil after the Soviet Union disintegrated. The West pressured Ukraine to give up those weapons and in return promised to defend it. In fact, we did not defend Ukraine. As you well know, it was invaded under the last two Democratic presidents with very little response. In fact, Biden's policy was simply to avoid defeat, but he never gave a posture that would deter invasion. So what Ukraine is going to want is something that can't be just words on paper that are torn up when it suits the Indian giver to tear those words up. That means, I think, a tripwire force. That is, what you want is that if Russia invades, again, breaks any agreement that is made, if they are willing to make one, and Putin has broken every agreement he's made. If and when they break that agreement, Ukraine wants something that absolutely ensures the West will come in. And the only way you can absolutely ensure that is to set up a Pearl Harbor situation where the Western troops, especially American troops, would be killed in a Russian invasion. America would then have to respond with great force. Putin knows that. That's why he is absolutely resisting those troops on the ground. There's a symbolic reason as well. He knows that Western troops would show to the world that this country of Ukraine is now part of the West, not part of the Soviet or Russian sphere. So I think it's hard to see Putin moving toward that, and he certainly won't move to it unless he's kicked very hard, square between his legs.
But part of the narrative coming out of this that's still confusing to me is that Putin has, agreed in theory on some of the security guarantees. And those security guarantees, and this was pretty incredible that President Trump got all of these NATO members to come to the White House on Monday, especially in, a short turnaround. But it does seem like many of the guarantees that are on the table are very NATO member-like, if you will, right?
I agree with that, and I agree with you that the meeting in Alaska seemed very important. I'll tell you something else that was important about it. Almost nothing leaked out of it. It was the information.
Yeah, that's unusual, right? Yeah.
Very close, yeah. It was not like the way that things often happen with the White House, with people calling up the New York Times. And but I still, and you're right to say that what is on the table, I think, are NATO-like guarantees. I can't believe it's not NATO guarantees, okay? But I don't think Putin has certainly not agreed to it. He hasn't personally rejected it. His spokespeople have rejected it. His foreign minister has rejected it, but Putin himself has not. So we just have to wait for a few minutes. I always look, I'm old enough to remember Watergate, and do you remember what were called non-denial denials?
No.
Non-denial denials were when the Washington Post would accuse Nixon's people of doing X, Y, or Z, and they would respond. This would be in print, and then the Nixon people would respond by saying, you're ugly and your mother eats elderberries. But they didn't actually deny the allegation. I noticed that yesterday with the woman who is on the Federal Reserve Board. She was accused of mortgage fraud by putting down two houses
as
her main
Yeah, I didn't cover that yesterday, but I'm familiar with the story. Right, yeah.
She actually didn't say the story was false. If you look at all of her denials, she's going to look into it. She's going to look at all the documents.
Yeah.
That should have taken her about a minute and a half.
Yeah, that's like a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode when someone sent an accidental text on purpose. I don't know if you're a Larry David fan, but that's
I am a bit of a Larry. You have to take him in small.
I know, but I love Curb, and that's exactly, it's people who know that episode and know that hook from Curb will appreciate that. Charles, I got to go. I'm short on the clock here, but I appreciate you hooking up. I would like to think that the next time that we speak here in a few weeks, that there will be progress in this particular war in a positive direction. I'm just not very confident that will happen, but we'll track it. And you have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon, Charles.
You too, Mark.
All right, take care. Thanks.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, it's not bad out there right now on the interstates, although there is a jam on southbound 55 as you head on down toward Bates. That, of course, is in the construction zone. And there was a pretty serious accident earlier, Manchester at Mason, and we really have some slow-moving traffic out there this afternoon. Now, if you are on southbound 270, slow pockets of moderate volume from Page down through Doherty Ferry. Westbound 40, a little bit slow there as you go from Hampton out through McCausland, and then again approaching 270, and then again Highway N out through 70. 70 itself westbound fine in the city, slow on either side of K and a little bit at Highway A. If you're headed into Illinois, there's a jam coming off the Poplar Street Bridge, and we do have volume eastbound 64 between 157 and 159. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis says your garage door is always there for you, rain or shine. Are you taking it for granted? For same-day service, if there's an issue, call 314-781-5200 or schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 39 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Rhino Shield is far superior to even the best traditional exterior house paint. Rhino Shield is 8 to 10 times thicker than paint and comes with a 25-year transferable warranty. Rhino Shield is the only ceramic coating company that has been chosen by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where every episode is concentrated on unpainted brick, bonds and seals to stucco, wood, hardy, block, color lock, masonite, and more. No better product for those steel aluminum-sided homes that have become, chalky and tired looking. We coat sloped and flat roofs to extend their lives too. After 15 years, we've got a great reputation and a superior product. As long as it's affordable, why wouldn't you do it? Before you make the costly mistake of painting with traditional paint, you'd be best served to call Rhino Shield today. We are the experts and our evaluations are free. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
3:33, this portion of the show on a Thursday, sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
From the gateway to the airwaves. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I was just talking off the air with Sue about the big Cracker Barrel logo debate today, which just seems ridiculous. But if you're not dialed into that, we'll touch on it here after 4 o'clock before Sue's news. We are on the cusp of another weekend, believe it or not. We got a Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. Jane will be here. Jeff Rainford and Gene Evans on the panel. Of course, Paul Hall will make some entertainment recommendations. Cusimano on the Cardinals and the rest of sports. And then Kilmeade tomorrow night, a rare Friday appearance from Brian because he was booked up today and yesterday. Paul Mauro got to sit down with the Idaho police chief who spearheaded the investigation into the Brian Kohlberger murders, which is fascinating.
Would you have gotten probable cause to arrest him without the DNA?
I believe so.
Based on what?
Our investigators were very confident that based off of where we were going with the vehicle and the information that we gathered, we would have got there. I don't know what our timeline would have been, but I believe we would have got there.
Well, Sue, we've had a fascination with this case, and it kind of wrapped up relatively quickly here this summer. Paul, of course, a Fox News contributor, retired NYPD inspector, and founder of the opsdesk.org. Hello, Mr. Mauro. How are you this afternoon?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Obviously, in the aftermath of the deal, the plea deal, if you will, and the sentencing, you still had some fascination. There's still some a lot of unanswered questions out there. What did you learn from the chief during this visit out there?
Well, he put together he put to rest a number of suppositions that were bouncing around out there online all along here that I think now we can finally close the door on. Among them, I think the most revelatory is the idea that they were trailing his car when he left out there in Idaho and drove cross country with his father, because that factoid opened a lot of questions up here. You had to say to yourself, why on earth did they let him leave town? Why on earth would they not have put a GPS on the car? How did they lose the car? If they were already looking at him in Idaho, why did they not, let's say, do a sneak and peek on his car to see if there's any evidence there to tie him to it? Because remember, they had the DNA. But what the chief told me was that he was absolutely not on the radar screen. They did not have his name before he left town with his father. And that means that a lot of reporting that's been bouncing around out there, that's been reported as fact, is actually wrong. But it also explains a lot, as in why they let him leave town, why they didn't do a search warrant on his home, why they didn't put a GPS on the car, et cetera, et cetera. So it explains a lot. That, to me, in terms of putting my investigator hat on, was the biggest revelation.
So, in other words, when he left town, they were not focusing on him as a chief suspect at that time. And by the time they realized that he was already on the road.
Exactly. So my theory had been all along that were they on him at that point, that what they might have said was, okay, look, we don't have enough to arrest him, but this guy looks likely. We got to keep an eye on him. I couldn't understand why they didn't just pull his garbage, because I went out to the location that he lived in, and there was a big dumpster in this common sort of courtyard that all of the dorm rooms share. And that's where he was living. And I literally hung out there to watch. And sure enough, eventually a woman came out about his age and threw her garbage in this big dumpster. So that answered the question for me as to whether or not there was garbage pickup or how it worked. So all they would have had to have done would be, they already had the DNA from the knife sheath. Just wait for him to throw his garbage out. You don't even need a search warrant. You just grab it, match it, and he's your guy. So they didn't do that. And so I could never figure out why they did not do that, if in fact they were onto him before he left town. And I also thought that they might have done those car stops. You remember there's two different agencies stopped the car as it was going across the country. So my feeling was what they might have been doing was they might have been concerned who he had in the car, because they might have just said, good Lord, he's leaving town and there's another body in the car. We don't know who that is. Could it be a victim? Because all you see is the head. So they might have wanted to eyeball who it was he had in the car to see if, maybe this could be another potential victim. Oh, it turns out it's his father. Okay. It was always very murky. But the fact that they completely did not know who he was before he left town, and I should say, I was suspicious of that all along. I said, I don't think they would have let him leave town. I think they would have done certain things to try to hang on to him.
Well, now you know, right?
To profile of the DNA, and there's your answer.
Yeah, okay. So then the big question that we all have that will never, ever probably be answered, and I think the chief admitted this, is why did he do all this?
Our investigators dug very deeply into social media and all of the potential avenues and all of the tips that we got pointing towards that, and we're never able to establish a connection. Everybody wants to know why this house, why these kids, and we just don't have that information, and I don't think we ever will.
Paul, do you agree with that? We just may never know that. Did you find anything new on your visit out there?
No, and in fact, if anything, it got even murkier, because the chief said that they found no connectivity between him and the house, him and any of the students, including the male, Ethan. There's just no rationale that anybody can find, and that included in the cyber world. One of the things I said when the case first broke was, look, just dump the social media of all the girls. He was likely stalking all of the girls. Find the IP address that's common to all of them, and there's your guy. Well, it turns out he was cyber savvy enough, because I still believe he likely was hitting their social medias, but he was cyber savvy enough to use a VPN and to use some software that not only hid his cyber footprint, but he also washed out his hard drive on his computer. So he took some steps. He did have the ability to do that. It's not hard. You can buy commercial software to do it. So I don't know that we ever will. I will say this. He's already appearing to be such a sort of jailhouse Karen that we may get an interview with him at some point, because he wants to complain. And at that point, you may get an answer. He may, because he seems to be quite egotistical. One of the things that the chief confirmed to me was that he's quite arrogant. It's not just that he seems to be a little bit sort of removed from reality. There's reporting out now that, in fact, right before he was arrested, he was searching online, because they were undoubtedly up on his phone. They see searches that are things like, do psychopaths get paranoid?
Oh, my gosh.
So he knew he literally saw himself as a psychopath.
Wow.
So, the psychopaths are very arrogant. So I wouldn't be surprised at some point if he gives an interview. Who knows? Maybe it'll be me. And, obviously that's the question you're going to ask is, why did you do it, and why this house? But short of that, I don't know that we'll ever have the answer.
Paul, it's Sue. One of the theories that I had heard thrown around, just hearing you talk about the arrogance, was that he thought that he was smart enough to pull something off and not get caught.
Yeah.
And that was it. And maybe if you are a psychopath, that's enough, but I don't know.
But if he's that smart to wipe the hard drive and do some of these
That's
other
what I
things,
mean.
why would he not have understood that the cell phone's going to get pinged, that the car's probably going to be, picked up on video when he's kind of, doing his practice runs or whatever happens. So obviously, this happens all the time with criminals. They think that they're outsmarting people, but then, they make some mistakes, and he clearly made some mistakes, thankfully.
Yeah, Sue, I agree with both of those statements. I think that there's a very good chance that it wasn't even like, the initial assumption, and again, on my part as well, was there's likely going to end up being a sexual motive here, but none of the girls were assaulted. Now, maybe that could have happened had there not been some surprises in the house. He may have planned to sexually assault Maddie. He didn't plan on Kaylee being there and fighting him. And then Xana comes up because she hears the commotion. He ends up with her. And then Ethan doesn't even live in the house normally. Had he been surveilling the house, I think there could have been some surprises there for him. But taking that off the table, it may have been just exactly what you're saying. He had applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department and turned down. And his arrogance is revealed in the application. He writes an essay saying how he wants to teach small town police departments how to do digital forensics. I can tell you that whatever cop received that application couldn't put it in the shredder fast enough. So I think that there was a sense of, okay, you're going to reject me. Well, then I am going to show you. And that tracks with the behavior that, we're hearing about now, that he was being very creepy around people. He was very denigrating towards women. He, in fact, in some instances would be up on them so closely that they felt like they couldn't get out of their offices. And in fact, one of the things the chief told me, which is new, was that he was fired from his teaching assistant job before the arrest. And that is new. And it just shows you he was leading this sort of slipping down life. But that said, as you said, Mark, he was smart. He thought he was smarter than he is. And this is common. Even cops who end up committing crimes leave the breadcrumbs. You're never going to be smarter than the institution. Institutionally, police departments are quite wise. They've been doing this stuff a long time. And when you're up against the entire Moscow PD, the Idaho State Police Department, the FBI brought in all of these digital analysts, that's a formidable team. And he was just not going to outdo that gang of investigators.
Hey, you just reminded me of something, and we don't have time to cover it right now, but I'm just curious to see if you've ever looked into this. Are you familiar? There's a documentary that's on HBO Max right now about something referred to as the Yogurt Shop murders, which happened in 1991 in Austin, Texas. Is that on your radar at all?
I saw a review of it and I saw that it was out. I don't remember the case. I know that it's one of these things that they never solved, and it just seems to be a purposeless crime. The problem with these cold cases is, for all the reasons we just discussed, you don't have that available to you. The way you very often break cold cases is that a long time later you get a deathbed confession, or somebody who's arrested for something else tries to make a deal and says, I can give you something on that.
Right.
Keep me out of jail.
But here's what makes this interesting, because it's almost like two different lanes that they go down. It's the murder of these four girls at an I Can't Believe It's Yogurt in 1991, really stunned Austin, Texas. But there are, and this is where I want your opinion. So if you ever watch it, please let me know. It's a real interesting dissection and psychological analysis of false confessions and things that surround memory, because they show the clips of these guys that are accused of this and what they say, and kind of how they're coerced into saying some things that then just got to be proven completely not true. So it was fascinating from that perspective. I've never thought about it. You're a law enforcement guy. You might have different perspectives on the way that they're portraying this, but that in and of itself, outside of the case, is really the focus of this documentary. And it's quite fascinating because you ask yourself a lot. I think, a lot of us have said, wait a second, you got a confession in this. How does the confession get all torn up or whatever? Well, sometimes in these documentaries have very pointed agendas, Paul. So I'm not saying that their position is accurate here, but I think you might find it interesting if you check it out.
Yeah, I will do. I mean, you do get false confessions. People like their 15 minutes of fame, and for whatever reason, they don't think it all the way through. We saw that there's an element of that in the John Benet case, and it's a very famous case here in New York, Ethan Patz, who was a young kid going to the bus stop by himself, and he was kidnapped and ultimately found to be murdered. And that case recently got thrown out, and the contention is a false confession. So, it does happen, and it's a weird psychological thing. And,
really weird.
And memory is fallible. Eyewitness is a lot more fallible than you realize. Eyewitness accounts can be really, really fallible.
Absolutely.
It's a surprising thing.
Yeah, and I think we saw a lot of that, by the way, in the Mike Brown case here from Ferguson. Paul Mauro, great to have you on. Thank you so much. You have a great weekend.
Thank you, guys.
All right, take care, Paul.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this afternoon, a little bit of volume out there, but nothing too terrible yet as far as the interstates go. Southbound 55, a slow go, headed down toward Bates. 44 westbound jamming at 270. Moderate volume, southbound 270 between Page and Doherty Ferry. Westbound 64, that's slow approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Pretty slow at Lindbergh. And then to the west, just approaching N out through 70. Now, of course, that's mainly moderate volume. 70 is not bad at this hour. It does slow at Highway A. And if you are southbound on 55, of course, you have that slow go at Bates. But then things open up, and we've got moderate volume headed for Herculaneum. On the Illinois side, eastbound 64 slowing east of 157, and volume just coming off of the Poplar Street Bridge westbound. This report is brought to you by Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They are simply the finest when it comes to mirror glass and shower doors. You can't find better quality, pieces, or service than at Barron Mirror Glass and Door. They have all the basics, all the way up to the elite. Barron Mirror Glass and Door can't be beat. I'm Sue Thomas. That's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
So we got a roundtable coming up tomorrow that I mentioned, and Jeff Rainford is on the panel. I'll use him as an example here, talking about Generator Supercenter of St. Louis. When he was showing up on that Friday of the tornado for the roundtable, he had to ditch out to his house because there was a tree that fell on it, and he didn't have power the entire week. Well, a lot of people were in that particular situation, and we know that it could not only be related to a tornado, could be just high winds or another thunderstorm, could be an ice storm in the winter, could be an accident that knocks out a transformer, could be the power grid failing because, let's face it, and I think you're probably seeing some added fees on your electricity bills for new infrastructure because the grid is old and eventually probably something really bad is going to happen. So I'm going to guide you into what you really should do is get a free estimate on a Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. They have financing available. The free estimate is just a phone call away. Do not wait for the next storm or outage. Get on top of this right now. You don't want to be that person that says, man, I wish I would have called Generator Supercenter of St. Louis at 314-499-2020 or the website. You can swing by the store out there in the Airport Road in Chesterfield as well. Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
Scott Jennings here. I'm excited to be part of the St. Louis conservative conversation, cutting through the noise with unfiltered common sense. Catch the Scott Jennings Show weekdays at 8 p.m. starting August 25th on 97.1 FM Talk.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
When's the last time you gave your home's exterior a little love? Hi, it's Kim, and if your siding is cracking, it's fading, or just doesn't stand up to our St. Louis weather, it's time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design because they're experts in James Hardy siding, which is this durable, low-maintenance option, and it looks beautiful. Plus, you have customizable colors and textures, and so you can give your home a completely new look while protecting it for decades. Don't wait until the small problems turn into big ones. Visit lakesidearty.com to schedule your free consultation.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
This is St. Louis Conservative. No filters, no fluff. Mark Reardon is back on the mic.
I asked you this, Sue, off the air, and I'll ask it to you now on the air because I kind of showed you the image. But there's this controversy which I'm baffled by, and I'm baffled by a lot of things and a lot of controversies about a new logo for Cracker Barrel. And I don't really get the controversy, but we'll talk about it a little bit after 4 o'clock before Sue's News.
If you're hardcore into the old Cracker Barrel, and that's just not us.
Yeah. When's the last time you were at a Cracker Barrel? I would say mine would have been probably 1997 or something like that. And I'm not even exaggerating.
Oh my
that.
goodness. Mine, I don't know. I can't remember.
So the reason I know this time frame just a little bit is because, and maybe it was early 2000s, but I was divorced probably in, I should know the year, I think it was 2003. But my ex-wife and her family loved the Cracker Barrel. So there was a period of time in the late 90s, and I have one right out there by where I live in Fenton, not right across from where Merritt's is and everything, but I've not been to the Cracker Barrel for a long, long time. There's all kinds of, they're rebranding. Have you seen the Golden Corral TV ads?
No.
I think they're trying to highlight their wings or something, but it's got a couple of guys that are in the commercial that are like maybe 30 or 40 somethings and not 70 or 80 somethings. So they're trying to, I honestly, I don't know how these chains survive. I really don't. I will say this though, I told this story several months ago. And I'm a confessed elitist, if you will, in some ways, right? Some of us are, but another restaurant that I hadn't gone to in a long, long time was Olive Garden. And Alexa likes the breadsticks and, some of the pastas. So we went out. I think it was her choice on her birthday. Where do you want to go to dinner? We go to Olive Garden. But what I realized, being the elitist that I am, is that there were a ton of working class people that were sitting down with their families that, were trying to afford a meal out, where in a lot of restaurants, I think they've been priced out, unfortunately. So, I think you do have a lot of the change now. I'm not saying working class people are going to Cracker Barrel. I think it's mainly older people, I would say. And but
sometimes the kids like it, right? If you're on a road trip.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
I guess I always remember it's sort of like the casinos in Las Vegas, where you have to go, in order to go to your room or any place else, you have to walk through the casino floor. And at Cracker Barrel, you have to walk through the store where they're selling you all the jams and jellies and all that other stuff as well. But we'll talk about that a little bit. Did you hear about Andy Reid's office being shot at?
What?
Yeah, that's a crazy story as well. So I got a couple of things for you before Sue's News. We'll do a Thursday edition of Sue's News, and then our friend George Gray will be here doing The Price is Wrong. He's in town for a little, I guess he's on hiatus from taping The Price is Right, and he is a St. Louis guy, and his mom lives here, Mama May. So George is going to visit with us in studio after 5 o'clock. The newly appointed Missouri Attorney General. I go way back with Catherine Hanaway. I have not spoken or seen her in a long time, but she's going to visit here in the studio. And then there's a kid who wrote a piece. There's this group called the James G. Martin Center for Academic Renewal. I was unfamiliar with this particular organization, but a couple of days ago, it might have been Tuesday on Real Clear Politics, I saw a piece that was posted from a student at Duke. His name is Sherman Criner, and he's a senior at Duke studying public policy, history, and political science. He's an intern at that group that I just mentioned, and he wrote a piece that's excellent about how Duke and their identity politics is really abandoning American history. And if you look at the, the course correction, not the course correction, but the course list of what they offer, and you compare it to what maybe would be matched up with American history, you'd say, wait a second, what's going on here? And that's what he did. And he's trying to highlight that. And by the way, it's not just Duke. It's happening at SLU and WashU and at Mizzou and a lot of these universities, especially the more elite universities. So Sherman's going to join us, and we have an audio cut of the day. Just a quick soundbite before, let's see if I have time for this. I don't think I do. I'll get into trouble if I do. But there was a great, we just aired the short promo with Scott Jennings, his show, his syndicated show, which is usually in the afternoon before, he's already done his show. We're going to air his show at 8 o'clock on weeknights starting on Monday. I think we'll get Scott back on the show to promote this, but there was a real quick soundbite from him that I'll get in here this afternoon before too long that, it's kind of mean because he schools a young kid on set on CNN, which is rather entertaining. But I'll save the time right now because I'll get too late and then I get yelled at from the bosses, and that's something I'm pretty good at doing. But we're coming back with a Thursday edition of Sue's News and George Gray playing The Price is Wrong in the next hour.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, we're just getting going on this commute. Now, there was an accident earlier, and it was at Manchester at Mason that really caused delays in that area. On the interstates, we've got volume southbound 55 at Bates. Westbound 6440 approaching Hampton out through McCausland. Southbound 270 approaching Olive down through Doherty Ferry. And some volume. There's a jam headed into Illinois on the Poplar Street Bridge, mainly due to road work at Exchange. And eastbound 64, slow between 157 and 159. This report brought to you by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
From now on, if you spring a leak, need a water heater, or have hard water,
Thanks for calling Jerry Kelly Heating, Air, Plumbing, and Electrical.
Jerry Kelly will fix the leak, install the thing, and make that hard water easy. From the company who's got your whole home covered.
JerryKelly.com. What's your favorite four-letter word? Chances are you've said it more than a few times dealing with this crazy world we live in. But at Compass Retirement Solutions, our four-letter word of choice is hope. Hope for a better tomorrow. And hope that your retirement plans don't take a back seat. You've watched inflation soar, and maybe your retirement future feels a little uncertain right now. But all hope is not lost. Find out exactly how much risk you're still taking with your investments. Find out how you may be able to save big on taxes. And find out how having a written retirement plan just might give you the hope you've been looking for. Call today to set up a meeting. 314-373-1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Hey, it's Bo Matthews, and Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property through eco-friendly forestry mulching. Missouri Brush Control can transform your overgrown acreage into accessible and usable land, and in a fraction of the time compared to conventional methods. Missouri Brush Control also cleans up around ponds, lakes, and dams, allowing easy access to your water feature. They service residential, commercial, and recreational properties with their specialized machines and years of expertise. Enjoy your land like you've always dreamed of. Visit MissouriBrushControl.com. That's MissouriBrushControl.com.
Brotherhood of Rock. Now they celebrate 25 years. Sticks. Kevin Cronin, former lead singer of REO Speedwagon. Special guest Don Felder, formerly of the Eagles. This Friday night, Hollywood Casino Amphitheater. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com. Sticks, Kevin Cronin, Don Felder, Brotherhood of Rock.
If you're trying to sell a home, there's only one agent in town that I trust, Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
If you owe the IRS, you have a legal issue, and you need the Lance Drury Law Firm. We'll protect your rights. Log on at LanceDruryLaw.com or call us toll free at 888-367-6512.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
I'm probably okay to have one more drink before I drive home. I'm probably okay. I open the window to stay alert. Probably okay. I just popped some gum in my mouth. Step out of the car, please. I probably made a mistake.
Probably okay isn't okay when it comes to drinking and driving. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. A message brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Fox News coming up. Sue's News after that on 97.1 FM Talk.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our summer weather certainly taking a little bit of a vacation, and we will take it. And this cool flow from the northwest gets stronger for the second half of the weekend. Mostly sunny this afternoon, 85 degrees, clear skies tonight. What a great evening. 67 for the low. Friday and Saturday sunny, 89 each day. Sunday sunny, the high of 83, 50 Sunday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Byrne.
and human life. More than 35 years after gunning down their parents in their Beverly Hills home, Eric and Lyle Menendez get a chance at parole, with a hearing for one today and the other tomorrow, allowed by a recent resentencing over claims of sexual abuse by their father.
Now, if the parole board recommends release for one or both of the brothers, California Governor Gavin Newsom will make the final decision. He could issue that immediately, but will more likely take it under consideration for several weeks or even months.
Fox's Jonathan Hunt. Many family members are among those arguing for parole. The LA County prosecutor opposes it. President Trump plans to go on patrol tonight in the nation's capital, where a federal crime crackdown continues.
President Trump made the announcement in a radio interview, but what's unclear if he's actually going to patrol or maybe visit with some troops. Obviously, that would be a massive security imprint. So we're not exactly sure how that's going to play.
Fox's David Spunt, the vice president and defense chief, visiting National Guard members at DC's Union Station yesterday. A gruesome mystery in Colorado. Sheriff's officials just confirming 6 bodies were recovered from a Colorado dairy yesterday, found in a confined space after responding to an emergency. They won't say what kind of emergency or exactly where the bodies were found. They do say it appears to be an accident and that they did not find anything criminal in nature. America is listening to Fox News.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our summer weather certainly taking a little bit of a vacation, and we will take it. And this cool flow from the northwest gets stronger for the second half of the weekend. Mostly sunny this afternoon, 85 degrees, clear skies tonight. What a great evening. 67 for the low. Friday and Saturday sunny, 89 each day. Sunday sunny, and a high of 83, 50 Sunday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Byrne.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, we got George Gray coming in here in just a few minutes to play The Price is Wrong. Let me just squeeze this. Fred's in here. Hi, Fred. How are you?
Hey, good.
Let me squeeze this Scott Jennings bite in, only because it's kind of funny. There's a kid. He literally looks like he's about 13 years old that's on the CNN panel last night. His name is Adam Mockler, and he is with a group called Midas Touch. They spell it MEIDAS. Medias, Midas Touch, who knows? But there was this, back and forth last night on some of the inflation issues, et cetera. And Jennings tweets this bite out, and it says, "Welcome to the NFL, kid. Rule number 1, come prepared," because this is what it sounded like.
See the economy shuddering due to tariffs. We see vegetable prices going up 40%.
Why?
There are a bunch of different.
You know why?
PPI just said that vegetable price going up 40%.
Do you know why? I'm asking if you know why.
Sure.
Storms, weather, droughts all over the world.
What about electricity prices going up 10%?
It has to be.
Do you know when Liberation
I
Day
think if
tariffs-
you're going to throw out Donald Trump is responsible for vegetable price, you should come and know
Liberation Day
what's going on
tariffs
around the world.
He just kind of schooled the kid last night on the panel, which I liked. All right, let's talk. It's really kind of the last thing that I want to talk about today, but I have to just because I think it's so ridiculous and it's getting attention. And Fox has given it a lot of air today, and it's the story about the Cracker Barrel logo. So this is, and Ethan's out there. I think he's going to put this up on the stream. You can always follow on Twitter at Mark Reardon KFTK or the 97.1 FM Talk. account. So when's the last time you were at Cracker Barrel, Fred?
It's been a while. It was
Yeah.
on a trip. We stopped on the highway on the way.
So I'm saying 30 years approximately for me,
Probably
at least 25 years.
15.
But
I've
I
been
used
in
to
this
go.
century.
I used to go because my ex-wife and her family liked it. So there was a stretch when we went to Cracker Barrel, I would say on a regular basis. And
I'll say it's always crowded.
Yeah.
When you drive by a parking lot.
Sure it
it's
is. Well, and I have one out by me, and you drive by on 44 right out there by Merritt's, and it's packed. So today their stock tumbled because there was backlash over the logo that some people, and obviously these are people on the right, are calling woke. So even Donald Trump Jr. got involved and says, what the F is wrong with Cracker Barrel, beloved American aesthetic, and replace it with a sterile, soulless branding. So, Sue, how would you, if you just put, Ethan's going to do this right now, if you put the two logos back to back, you see one on the left, it says Cracker Barrel, Old Country Store.
Yeah.
It's got the old, I guess it's an old white dude, of course.
That's
bad.
the whole thing. It's the barrel. It's the old
Sitting
guy
by
with
the
the barrel
Right.
that is missing from the new logo.
So the new logo is the same, for the most part, the same yellow color, but then instead of having a brown font, if you will, it's a black font, and all it says is Cracker Barrel. So there's no
It's modern.
barrel.
It's streamlined and no old guy and no barrel.
Okay, well, who cares? Why are people complaining about this? Because I don't really understand why there's such a kerfuffle about this. Do you get that, Fred? Do you understand?
Well, I think some of the complaints people are saying is it's not just the logo. On the inside, it used to be a very dark walls.
Homey. It was supposed to be
place.
homey.
Now
yeah,
the walls are all white. They've got booths in there. And it's well lit and not as many items. So they think that it's a bit woke.
Here's the CEO, Julie Fells-Massino, and she was on ABC, I think.
What's important is things that people love about Cracker Barrel. The soul of Cracker Barrel is not changing. The rocking chairs are still there. The fireplace is there. The peg game, all the things that make Cracker Barrel, the vintage decor, it's still there and it's working. The results affirm that we're headed in the right direction.
Well, it wasn't working for the stock price today because it was down 7% to 54.80. Basically, it's the old timer wearing overalls who's out. That was a 5-decade ago concept. So they've had this for a long time. They're based down in Nashville, by the way. And to your point, Fred, they say in the Washington Post, the nostalgic feel of the restaurant is also being changed. The company has been revamping its dining rooms with more modern furnishings and decor as opposed to the old country store design it had in place for decades. Now, look, there's a certain part of me that wonders if this isn't necessary because who knows what their numbers are and the audience is, and are the older people who used to go to Cracker Barrel kind of dying off and not going there. I mentioned, Fred, I don't know if you see this during some of the, I think I see this during some of the sports broadcasting. Golden Corral is doing like a rebrand,
Reboot.
if you will,
Yeah.
with, trying to sell their wings and stuff like that. So I guess there was some of this that happened pushed back in 2022 because they started offering meat alternatives, which, I mean, you go to Cracker Barrel for your meatloaf and your mashed potatoes and gravy,
corn
right?
and whatever.
But having said that, I don't look at this as like, this is nothing like the Bud Light controversy. If you would have just showed me this morning and I wouldn't have heard the conversation back and forth that I ended up seeing on Fox and I heard online, I would have thought, oh, okay, Cracker Barrel, a place that I don't really go to or I don't care to go to, it has a new logo and it pretty much looks the same as the old logo, except the old dude with the barrel's not there and it doesn't say Old Country Store. So, but people are worked up about this. Even, I guess,
Well, would it be like Kentucky Fried Chicken without Colonel Sanders?
yeah, maybe not really, because the dude on the chair we don't know his name. What's his name? Mac. Colonel Sanders is
That's true.
Much better known. I don't know. I just think it's one of those things. And this is even Gavin Newsom's press office posted on X. Boy, this must be a bipartisan thing where they're complaining. What is wrong with Cracker Barrel? Keep your beautiful logo. The new one looks like cheap Velveeta cheese from Walmart. What? The place for groceries, an old-fashioned term. Fix it ASAP. Woke is dead. Thank you for attention to the matter. I think that is mocking. That doesn't make sense that came from Gavin Newsom, does it?
I'm not sure I get that.
Yeah, I don't either, really. I'm not sure.
Is he? So that he's slamming Velveeta and Cracker Barrel in the same thing, but
And
we don't
Walmart,
understand
right.
how. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna look at this on the X because for Gavin Newsom to use the word woke. Yeah, this is this is in all caps too. What is wrong with Cracker Barrel? Keep your beautiful logo. The new one looks like cheap Velveeta cheese. Exactly. The place for it says cheap Velveeta cheese from Walmart, the place for quote groceries, unquote. And then it says in parentheses, an old-fashioned term, fix it ASAP. Woke is dead. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That makes no sense, that unless he's just doing that to kind of mock Trump. But even in that circumstance, it doesn't really make any sense. I don't know. See, I opened the whole segment by saying this is something that I should not really even talk about. So, I'm just getting a text from George Gray as well. So he's trying to get into the building. I think that's why Fred exited.
People just want a Cracker Barrel left alone. Those who love it,
Now I want to kind of go and see what it's all about. See, maybe that's what they're going for. Yes. All right, we got George Gray coming in here after Sue's News, doing The Price is Wrong. That Sue's News is just around the corner on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Stall westbound 70 on the ramp to northbound 170. Watch for that. It's on the right-hand side, but for the most part, we're okay on the roads. Where we have the heaviest volume is headed into Illinois, coming off the Poplar Street Bridge, and eastbound 64, 157 to 159, and 44 westbound headed into downtown in front of the Arch grounds. Southbound 270, slow pockets Olive down through Doherty Ferry. This report is brought to you by Diamond, the Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
The reason many of us hate insurance companies is because some of them act like bullies. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I've been dealing with these creatures my whole career. Whether it's a workers' comp claim, an auto accident, or a nursing home or medical mishap, the playbook is often the same: deny and delay. We became the largest injury firm in America for a reason. We fight the bullies. They know who we are, and I know it makes a difference for our clients. Just go to forthepeople.com and see our results and our verdicts after those bullies gave us their final offer. Hiring the wrong firm can be disastrous. Hiring the right firm could substantially increase your settlement. It's easy to get going. Visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer, or call us on your cell at Pound Law, pound 529. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. forthepeople.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
We get it. Attention spans just aren't what they used to be. Heads in social media and eyes on Netflix. But what do people do with their ears? Well, for one, they're listening to audio. Americans spend 4.4 hours with audio every day. Oh, and you want the proof? Well, you just sat through this ad that's now approaching 30 seconds. What could you say to a potential customer in 30 seconds? Let Odyssey put together a media plan tailor-made for your unique marketing needs. Advertise with Odyssey. Visit ads.odyssey.com.
Like I said before, tariffs had absolutely zero effect on our equipment pricing. No manufacturer raised their prices. What has affected the pricing is the previous 4 years of these ridiculous mandates. I mean, I say ridiculous, it's shameful. But that being said, if you're told that you need a new system, or your air conditioner is bad, or you're looking to replace your system, if you want a common sense approach which works for you, your family, and your budget. When I say your budget, it never is what you want it to be on this equipment, but common sense approach, 15-20 minutes of your time, and explain to you your options. No Kool-Aid being handed out. I'm Bart Inman. It's Bart with a B, Inman with an I. The easiest way to get a hold of me with the easiest number, Missouri and Illinois, there's only 1-314-293-2600. Remember, 0% financing is available for most up to 60 months. Fantastic deal. God bless.
Now back to Mark Reardon, calling out the nonsense, one segment at a time. 97.1 FM Talk.
Hey, yesterday how I was talking about maybe sneaking into that Diana Ross show with John Baptiste next Thursday night.
Yeah.
I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to
the
sneaking in.
What does that mean?
I mean, like, I'm not going to hop the fence or anything like that.
You're going to sit in the free seats?
I'm just saying that I have managed to access a ticket so I can go to the show.
Finagle?
Sneaking. Yeah. Sometimes I do this at the
I'm
last
shocked,
minute.
Fred.
There was
I'm totally surprised.
Well, there was a period. Look, and I don't go to as many shows as I used to. I used to go to a lot more shows, and I would do a lot of shows over the years on my own. I did a lot of country shows on my own because Becky's not into country. But there would be times, like I remember sitting on the air one day, and I wanted to go see Coldplay, and I might have done this while I was on the air, and one of the old tricks I would use is on Ticketmaster. I don't know if you can do this as much these days, but as you get closer to a particular show, it may show you that there's no seats available a week out or even a couple of days out. But a lot of times there's holds that the promoter has or the band has. And if they're not going to be used, they're released at the last minute or the last day. So I happened to go online during that Coldplay show several years ago, and I ended up being like in the 6th or 7th row. There was a ticket that had opened up, and I'm like, boom, and got it. So I just went to that one, I think, by myself. I think John Lamping was going to go with me to that show. So when I say sneaking in, I mean like maybe at the last minute. This is a week in advance, but I am going to go see Diana Ross. And my wife can go with me if she's listening, but I don't think that she will. I just can't see her going to see Diana Ross. Fred, you want to go see Diana Ross?
I would love to.
Sue, would you want to go?
That's a cool that
Right.
was a show.
Maybe we will sneak in other people, but let's do this. George Gray making his way into the building. Heavy security for George today from The Price is Right.
Yeah.
But he'll be here after Sue's News. Oh, I pressed the wrong Sue's News bed. Take 2. Here we go. Nope. Didn't
Take
do it
3,
again.
maybe.
Man, my goodness, what's going on here? Take 3.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Well, I'll tell you what. I was looking up. I looked all this stuff up this morning for this day in history, and then I left it at home, so I'm scrambling. But here's what we've got. On this day in history, I kind of am doing this as a shout out for the lawyers. But in this was 1878, 147 years ago was when the American Bar Association was founded in Saratoga, New York, by 75 lawyers from 20 different states. I just didn't realize it was that old.
That's a long history,
right?
Yeah.
147 years ago. And how you got 75 lawyers from 20 states in the 1800s. I mean, they were writing letters to each other to come up with it. And I mean, that's just amazing.
I don't know that you have that at your disposal here, but I wonder what the impetus was and what the purpose was. Was it just a group of lawyers to commiserate and share ideas, or was it the beginning steps of having to take the bar exam?
That's
and
exactly what it was.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, here's the uniform thing that you have to pass. And then 114 years ago in 1911 was when the Mona Lisa was stolen from the Louvre. And it was stolen by an employee. And they didn't find it until 2 years later. But he had something to go steal the Mona Lisa.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
What year was that?
That was 1911. So it's just like anything else, right? So they boosted up all of the preventions from letting you do that, because a guy on the inside there were no cameras. Oh,
and he had it for 2 years.
2 years. He thought he was going to sell it, but then somebody said, "Guess you really can't." It's yeah. Mm-hmm. And this day is National Senior Citizens Day and National Brazilian Blowout Day. Huh?
I have a day in history for you.
What you got?
Today is the anniversary of the Beatles concert at Busch Stadium.
Ooh,
back in 1966.
That's a good one.
Part of their tour. It was the 10th stop on a 14-city tour. 23,000 people were there. and heavy rain that fell throughout the performance.
Oh God!
And again, like we talked about the one at Shea Stadium from 1965, people couldn't hear it. If you were in that crowd, you probably couldn't even hear the music. It was just screams.
Wait, is that all that it held? Was 23,000?
Approximately 23,000 people attended the show.
Wow. How many does the new one hold? I mean, the current.
Well, that stadium had to hold more.
Yeah.
But
okay. So they were putting up the
66,
stage and
yeah.
doing stuff like that. Well, it would have to be that.
Can I ask a question, though?
Yes.
And I can't be the only one. Can you explain to me what a Brazilian blowout
Yes.
is? Because
If
it's
you
National
want-
Brazilian Blowout Day. I know some things about Brazilians, but not the
that
blowouts.
kind. This is a hairdo situation, Mark.
Mhm.
And you go in, and this is for people who do not have straight hair. If it's frizzy, they will put on this stuff, and it'll calm it down, and then they blow it dry and do a hot iron, and they call it a Brazilian blowout.
How did I not know that? All these
And you've
years.
lived all this time.
I know. I'm shocked.
It is shocking.
We have a day to celebrate that.
Yes,
huh?
we do.
Okay.
Now, Ferris Bueller, one of my favorites. Of course, Matthew Broderick and Alan Ruck did it. Well, they've got a new movie coming out, and it's 40 years later. So they were spotted on the set of this movie called The Best Is Yet to Come. They're in Vancouver, Canada. And if you love that movie and you want to look it up just to see what they look like now, it's kind of adorable. They're just walking down the street, and I love them both so much just because I love that movie. Oh, it's so cute. All right.
We've been trying for, I don't know what the resistance is, but at a certain point I was discussing some of these things like the older movies that we can watch with Alexa now, especially since she's a little older. And that's one that's at the top of the list. And every time we mention it, she's like, I don't want to watch that. I'm like, I think it's just because we want to watch it.
I think that she
she's
doesn't.
being-
Plus, she's
right.
I don't know that she's. Give her a
Maybe
couple
too
more
young.
years.
Yeah,
I don't think a 10-year. What isn't she 10?
She's 10, but
don't
she's
think
going
she-
on 13.
But
You think,
still.
look, we've started a few movies and backed off because we didn't realize that the tone, to your point, might have been a little bit more adult than you would assume, because sometimes you don't really know how things age. But
That's
I get it.
right.
I get your point on that.
Is she gonna love Let My Cameron Go? I mean, you got to get the details.
I think she'll like it though.
I think she will when she's the right age, whatever that is. We've got a new poll out that found out we drop our phones a lot, even though they've become your most prized possession. The average American will drop their phone at least 10 times this year. Is that accurate for you, Fred? You carry that thing around like nobody's business.
I'm much lower than that.
Yeah, you keep an eye on
I'd
it.
say that's about right. Look, I dropped it in the Walmart parking lot in High Ridge today, and it was on the cart. Sometimes I leave it on the cart. The thing about that is, though, and this is just being honest, Sue, I don't know if you've had this experience. If you go 10 years ago or even maybe 7 or 8 years ago with the iPhone, I've always been an iPhone guy, and you drop your phone, even if you have a case on it, it smashes and the glass is broke. It doesn't do that anymore. I mean, the last time that I've had any glass break on my iPhone had to be more than 4 or 5 years ago. So I drop it and always brace for the moment where I'm going to look at the shattered glass, and it just doesn't happen.
do
So
they call it?
that technology has gotten a lot better.
Is it Gorilla Glass? Is that what they call it?
I don't know.
Like, I have a hairline one in this one, but that's all I've gotten, and I've dropped it multiple times. But I am paranoid that something will get in there.
I remember my kids in particular, when they weren't quite prepared to get another phone, they would have a cracked screen beyond any. You couldn't even see things on there.
Yes.
But Evan, my son in Houston in particular, he just would never get it fixed. He just kind of looked through all the broken glass.
Oh my gosh. Well, they say 60% of Americans say they drop it on a regular basis 10 times or more. And if it breaks, we're devastated. Just under a third of people say they've actually cried because their phone broke. 38% would rather lose their wallet. I would have to think about that for a while. I mean, you got to call all those credit card companies, but think of the phone numbers. Fred, if you lost your phone, what would you do?
Retire.
I mean, seriously.
Okay, but
everything's in it.
All this stuff
Yes.
is on the cloud, though. If you have an Apple, so all your contacts and everything, they make it super easy. I don't know how your communist phone works, but that's how my phone works.
Yeah, I better look and make that sure that's true.
But my wallet is my phone, because I have this case where I basically keep a health card, couple of my debit card, my credit card, and right now I still don't have my driver's license. I have my passport card. I did that
What?
driver's license thing about a month ago, and I still don't have it. I did the real ID.
Oh, and they haven't
everything.
sent it to you?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay, that's not good.
No.
The combination of having to do the DMV and the mail, to rely on either of those is
Double
not a
whammy.
good combo. Yeah.
Right.
38% said that, but 25% said breaking their phone would be more upsetting than crashing their car. 25% it was saying more upsetting than losing their child in a supermarket. They've asked people, I don't know. They've asked people if you'd be willing to do 5 uncomfortable things to rescue your phone from disaster. The most disgusting one I saw was, would you reach down into a porta potty at a big music festival? Oh my, 54% said, yeah, you got to do it. 54%.
I've come very close to having it. And my wife's done this a couple of times because she used to do it more, but she keeps her phone in her back pocket.
Yeah.
And that has landed her in some trouble in the toilet occasionally.
Yes.
Right? That's not something you want to. By the way, outside of it at a music festival, how about just a porta potty period?
In general? Yeah.
But I arguably probably a lot more severe at a music festival. Those things.
People said they will climb into a dumpster. Now, to me, that's not nearly as bad. I guess it depends on the dumpster. And would you miss an international flight? 51% said, yeah, I might just have to catch a different flight because I'm not doing that. I just find that interesting. We were talking about Brazilian blowouts, and there's a story out about men's hairstyles. And I was just going to ask you guys if this is true. 21% of men say they feel nervous about asking their barber or hairstylist for a new look. Fred, when was your last new look?
I don't think I've had one.
That's it.
So never.
Okay.
I had a crew cut through grade school. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I bet your parents probably thought it's cool for the summer. It's easy. Yeah. Did he have one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not nervous about doing it because I've had only a fair number of 5 stylists my entire life. I'm very particular about the hair. You guys know that.
Oh
right?
My gosh.
So
yes.
Allison, who is my current stylist, she's been cutting my hair from probably 2009 till now, if I had to guess.
And do you have new styles? You've had the same
sometimes
one
I go
for a
short.
while.
Sometimes I go, I did a little longer this winter. It doesn't vary that much, but I haven't done this in a while. I used to go really, really short in the summer. And I decided I didn't like that. So I don't do that anymore.
Well, they found the average guy gets their hair cut 10 times a year, about once every 5 weeks. Mark, is that right for you?
I'm every 3 to 4.
Oh,
probably.
my gosh. Fred?
Every 8 weeks.
Okay,
maybe.
thank you.
I got to keep it cleaned up. Come on.
Yeah, sure. And they say 84% of men say they feel confident with their current do. 55% have, quote, Fred, this is you, never really considered changing it. 55%.
It's all about the right product, Sue. That's what I'll tell you.
All right,
Guessing
that's
Fred
fair.
doesn't use a lot of product. Do you use any product?
No product.
No product at all?
No.
Just come look at how beautiful the hair is.
No,
with
Fred,
product.
nothing?
No.
I'm going to bring you some pomade and we'll see if we can get you a different look. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, my gosh, Fred. Ooh, let us do that. Would you let us do that? Okay.
Do my hair?
Yeah, just put some pomade in there. I don't know.
Sure. I don't know what it is.
I love this idea.
Come on, we can do like a little
thing.
thing. Oh my gosh, that would be so great. And finally, in Sue's news, we have today's random fact, which wouldn't print out, so stand by.
You got 20 seconds, by the way.
Okay. In the UK, ladybugs are called ladybirds. Ladybirds in England. Ladybugs are called ladybirds in England. So if you go there with your pomade, you'll know what to say.
There you go. She got it in under the wire. George Gray and The Price is Wrong, just around the corner.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. Kansas City Federal Reserve President Jeffrey Schmidt is expressing some doubt over lowering interest rates next month. Schmidt says policymakers still have plenty of work to do on inflation. The comments come as markets are pricing a nearly 80% chance of a small cut at the September meeting, according to CME's FedWatch tool. Delta and United Airlines are being sued by passengers who claimed they paid extra money to sit in window seats, only to find themselves placed in seats next to a blank wall. Proposed class actions are seeking millions of dollars of damages for more than 1 million passengers at each carrier. On Wall Street, stocks were lower on the heels of the Labor Department reporting the number of people applying for initial unemployment benefits actually rose by 11,000 to a 2-month high. The Dow falling more than 150 points, the NASDAQ off by more than 70. That's Your Money Now.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere. right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go. And that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Well, if you are thinking about retirement but don't have a written plan in place, I've got some great news for you. Of course, there are all different kinds of places that will handle this for you. But the one I like is Financial and Tax Architects. They're just the best at this. And part of what makes them the best to me is that their idea is we're not going to do some secret thing and it's magic. We're going to talk to you about how this retirement thing works. They put on a class called Retirement Planning 101, and they teach you some of this stuff. Here's how to avoid costly mistakes. Here's how to maximize your income. Here's how to reduce taxes in retirement. And they'll kind of walk you through that. And they'll come up with a plan after looking at what you've got and where you want to be, and they will help you through the whole process. So give them a call today, 314-888-5101, 314-888-5101. Go to a class and start there, and you will feel better about retirement.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
4:32 in this portion of the show on a Thursday, sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
From Cottleville to Maryville, 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, after 5 o'clock in our first segment, Catherine Hanaway, who is the newly appointed Attorney General because Andrew Bailey went to work with Kash Patel and Dan Bongino at the FBI. Hey, look who's in the studio with us this afternoon. It's the one, the only George Gray from The Price is Right. How are you?
How's it going, everybody?
It is going exceptionally well. I was telling Ethan this earlier. The last time you did one of these, it was a Hall of Fame level Price is Wrong.
Yes,
so
it was.
there are a lot of high standards this afternoon.
It was
I
that
think
good.
so. I think the last one was really, really good.
Yeah, I wasn't here for it. That really
Oh, sorry, Fred.
Were you in Japan when that happened?
Yeah, I was in
You were
Japan.
somewhere or
Yeah.
Florida, one of your trips, right? All right, let's do it here. Are you ready for me to screw up the intro like I usually do?
we're gonna kick it off. Okay, yeah, sure.
So we do this thing every once in a while that is inspired by our friend George Gray when he comes in here because he works on the actual Price is Right. But this one's called Wrong.
Mark.
Oh, there you go. And George Gray, take it away from here.
Woo! Here it comes from the beautiful downtown studio with Mark Reardon. It's The Price is Wrong. Got to start off by saying, hi, Mama May.
Yay!
And a big special shout out to Uncle Greg. Quit pretending like you're not feeling well right now. We're on to you.
Wow.
You're forgetting one dedication.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, good, because you're going to get me in trouble. You know.
Well,
that.
you know, it would help if you would just say hi to your own mom.
Thank you.
Ouch. Yeah. Hi, Judy.
Judy Reardon. She's listening.
Judy
this
Reardon
afternoon.
in the
She knew you were
house.
here.
Absolutely. Both moms tuning in right now. Okay, everybody. If you've never heard The Price is Wrong, Mark, what it is these are real, actual items that you can purchase in the St. Louis area right now. You can get them on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, but they are available. They are real. These are real, genuine items. We've got Mark, Sue, Fred, and Ethan are going to play. Whoever gets closest to the actual price of what the people are asking for, they get a point. And at the end, somebody wins an amazing no case, which of course is written by Fred and I've never seen. All right, that's the way.
That's the disclaimer.
That's the way it always goes. Okay, so we're going to start up for the first item up for bids on The Price is Wrong, Mark. And if you're driving home or if you're listening, play along. What would you pay for these fabulous items? Also, you can buy them too. You can look them up and buy them right now. You can buy them before we're done with this segment.
Wow.
Okay, first item. Oh, and always, here's how we do it. Is anytime somebody does all caps, I have to shout it.
Yes.
I have to shout it. That's just the way it works. If you hear me yelling, that's because they wrote in all caps. Here we go. First up, Minion Fire Pit. Minion Fire Pit. And the description is handmade minion fire pit, 30 inches tall, with poker and pick, willing to trade as well for something cool, mostly interested in tools, handheld man toys, or other minion collector's items. You heard me. Handheld man toys. So obviously, Fred already has an advantage because he is an aficionado of handheld man toys.
Yes.
But we're going to let that slide, and we're going to start off with Mark only because that's what Ethan wrote down on a piece of paper. Mark, what would you like to bid?
$60, George.
$60. Wow. Very proud of that. Okay, Sue, what would you like to pay?
Not that much. How about 40?
$40 for a minion. It's kind of got it's like a propane tank with a shovel for a beard and so it's crazy. It's wacky.
Okay. Is it a regulation size barbecue pit? I'm trying not to look at your.
You're going to cheat. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's not a barbecue pit. It's a barbecue tank, I would say, is what it looks like. Yeah, a tank.
I see.
Yeah. So, Fred, what would you give for this bad boy?
Okay, I'm going to go $61.
Sorry, Mark.
61.
$61. But Ethan still gets to.
Yeah, he does.
What would Ethan do?
There's no way that this is worth that much money.
Thank
There's
you.
just
Thank
no
you.
way.
So there's a strategy here.
I'm going to go. Oh, down goes Sue's
mic
microphone.
just fell
Sorry.
off.
We're off and running. I'm gonna go $1.
Okay.
$1. Okay. All right. Now, let's see. We got 60, 40, 61, and $1. How much would you listing? What would you pay for a minion fire pit made by somebody in Wentzville? It is $225.
Oh my gosh. Wait, so Fred
Fred wins one.
Dang.
So,
way to go.
Ethan, look, you had two directions. You could either $1 or go $62, and I would have probably gone $1 as well. I had no idea this thing would
that's
be worth
crazy.
that much.
Crazy.
I have no words. I have no words.
I know.
Don't take it too hard.
Luckily, I have words. All right, here we go.
Thankfully.
Moving along on the Price is Wrong mark. Next item up for bids. Spider float or yard decoration? Spider float or yard decoration? It's a very disturbing photo. And here is the description. Requires assembly. You need to pick it up from my house. That's an exclamation point. I need the space. This was used in approximately 4 Christmas parades and 3 for the 4th of July. Yep, 4th of July spiders. Christmas spiders. Couldn't tell you. Apparently not Halloween, though, okay? It has been stored indoor for a couple of years, and now my wife wants it gone. And it's scaring the kids. All right, there we go.
Wait a minute. So you're not talking about a floaty in a pool. You're talking about a huge in a parade float.
It's ginormous, yes.
Wow.
It's ginormous. And what's interesting, again, if you're listening, used for Christmas parades and 4th of July parades. When you're thinking, okay, you know what? I have an 80-foot tall walking spider. You know when to bring this out? Christmas and 4th of July. Yeah.
Oh.
Along with the zombies and goblins. Oh, everybody loves that at the 4th of July. So, Sue, what would you pay?
I'm going to say $1,000.
Whoa. $1,000.
That might be the highest thing I've ever said
I
on this
think
show.
you think you're the highest thing on the show right now. Okay, Fred, what would you like to pay?
I'm going to say $200.
$200. Okay, Ethan?
I'm gonna go 201.
201. Okay. Mark, we got 1,200. 201. What does Mark do with this?
Oh, this is easy.
I'm going to say 202.
Oh, that's not what I would have done. Oh, you're cheating. You got to go over.
You're all a pack of losers. All right, let's do it again quickly. Sue.
$50.
$50. Fred.
100.
$100. Ethan.
25.
$25. Mark.
$1.
$1. Ding, 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 ding. Wait, hang on. I can do it. Yeah, we can do that. The sound. It means somebody got the bid right on the nose, which only proves that the guy standing next to me is cheating. It's $100, Fred.
Fred, nice job.
Nice job, Fred.
Thank you.
Wow.
Is that 2 in a row?
Yes,
that is
he's
2 in a
killing
row.
Play with it.
All right, we're moving along, right?
Yep.
Now, this is a really good one. I read this in advance, and this made me very, very happy. I want to know this person. If you're listening right now, I want to know you. I want to swim in your pool. Here we go.
Excuse me?
And again, I have to shout if it's caps. Okay, here we go. 6 top ramen chicken flavor packets. Again, that is 6 Top ramen chicken flavor packets. Okay, and here we go. I recently finished a 6-pack of Top Ramen chicken flavor noodles that someone gave me. I don't eat meat, so I just made vegetarian stock and cooked the noodles in that. I didn't want to throw the flavor packets away because what if someone out there, someone like you, really loves the chicken flavor packets and always wish for something extra that they didn't have to use the flavor with their noodles? This is your day. You can nab these chicken flavor packets and use them in flavor popcorn, different noodles, marinade, etc. Maybe you want to use the extra flavor in your Top Ramen chicken flavor noodles, or maybe you want to mix the chicken flavor with the beef flavor or the shrimp flavor. I even know some folks who use flavor packets like these to create a more intense obstacle course by filling kiddie pools with ramen water. Maybe wait till spring to try it out, this idea. Oh man, chicken flavor snowballs. There's 6 extra chicken flavor packets of possibilities.
Wow.
Aren't packets of ramen generally around 25 cents a piece?
don't
And that's
tell us
with
that.
the noodles?
That's with the noodles.
Yeah, that's with the noodles.
That's
but
with the
this is
noodles. Okay,
sans noodles.
Well, then that being said, Fred, what would you pay for endless possibilities with 6 Top Ramen chicken flavor packets?
I'm going to say $3.
$3.
$3.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, because he had a lot of words.
Yeah, he did. He
There
did
were-
have a lot of words.
Yeah, he spent a lot
Good
of time.
point.
Okay, well, what would you say, Ethan?
I'm gonna go with $5.
$5. Wow, he'd pay the money. Mark,
$1.
$1 for Sue.
Oh, is it going to be 6 or 2?
Is it? Is it?
I will say this person is really into these packets. I'm going 6.
Excellent. I think I got this.
All right, and ding, 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 ding. Oh, somebody got the amount right on the nose. What will cost you? You can buy a packet of Top Ramen for a nickel, right?
Yes.
But to get 6 flavor packets by themselves, $5.
Oh,
Ethan.
yeah. Nice
Ethan.
job,
Ethan wins one.
You know, truth be told here,
I know my ramen.
My wife uses those ramen packets when we make stir fry. So she does use the ramen packets.
Interesting.
Without the noodle. You look at me like I'm crazy. I'm just telling you that's part of the
It's just my
stir-fry.
normal look at you. Trust me, just a normal look. Well, Fred's got 2. Ethan's got 1. Sue and Mark, sucks to be you.
Yes, it does.
All right, here we go.
Right.
We got 2 more, so this is anybody's baby at this point. Here we go. Next item. This is a great one. Used Bernie 2016 blue bumper sticker. Again, used Bernie 2016 blue bumper sticker with free 2005 Ford Explorer.
What?
With free
that's
2005 Ford Explorer.
That's
okay.
funny.
And here is the description. For sale is a lightly used Bernie 2016 blue bumper sticker. There is a 2005 Ford Explorer attached to the sticker,
Oh, hilarious.
which I will include free of charge. The adhesive is in like new condition, though the car that it's currently attached to should be easily removed if you prefer. More on the included bonus. It's an 05 Ford Explorer XLT with upgraded wheels and stereo tan leather interior, 98,000 miles. It could use a new set of tires as well. Thank you for your time, and may God have mercy on all of our souls.
Wow.
Love this one. This is a good sense of humor. Okay.
Ethan, enjoy.
So yes, Ethan, you get to start out. What would you pay for a used Bernie 2016 bumper sticker that's attached to a Ford Explorer?
Now, here's the thing: how I would answer this and what the common person would answer this
Oh,
is perhaps a
criminy!
little
Here we go.
just
Oh
that.
God!
I'm gonna go ahead and say $2,000.
$2,000 for a
Wow.
used bumper sticker. That's a lot of money, Mark.
Yes.
I'm going to say $800.
$800 for
Yeah.
that bumper sticker attached to a Ford Exploder. And Sue, what would you give for that honey wagon?
I am liking 1,000 lately. I'm 1,000.
$1,000. That's what she would pay for a lot of things. So we got 2,000, 800, 1,000. What would you pay, Fred, for a used Bernie bumper sticker? Almost president, not quite, and then you get a car out of the deal.
$1,001.
Oh,
$1,001.
Fred came to play today.
He did play, and he came to lose because it's 2,000. It's actually $3,000.
Oh.
3,000. The 2 wins.
Nice
Ethan.
job, Ethan.
Ethan takes it.
I also know my Fords.
I guess.
Had a couple of those.
All right, we got one more.
We got time for one more.
No,
We got to zip through it, though.
We're going to make it happen. Okay, we got 2.5 minutes. We're good.
Okay,
Okay,
all
this is a good one. Nail clipper costume. Nail clipper costume, homemade. Okay. This is made of the highest quality parts that Ace Hardware has to offer. Is that PVC I smell? Nah, son. Half-inch CPVC all day. Why is it so stiff? That's because it's constructed with triple clap cardboard. What's the roundy tinfoil? Oh, faux show. That is straight Reynolds wrap. Shiny side up. Why do I feel like it's Scotch guarded? Calm yourself. That's just saran wrap for ultimate protection from harm and terror. Aluminum cam for smooth movement. Spring operated and speedy clipping. Lightweight for stealth and mobility. There are caveats. You won't win the costume contest. Women won't flock to you. Well, they might, but it's more likely that they'll say things like, "What are you? What made you think of that?
Wow.
You're dumb." That's nice that your mom gave you money and let you out of the house to play in public. Finally, pick this up today before I throw it out. Okay, so quickly.
I forgot what the item is.
It's a nail clipper costume.
Oh. Yeah.
Nail clipper costume. And this
got
is
it.
going to go to Mark.
$30.
What, $30. Sue.
$20.
$20. Okay, Fred.
$40.
$40. Ethan, this could be all for the kittens. What do you say?
I'm going $1.
Going $1. He could have $1 Fred. Actual price for a nail clipper costume, guaranteed to keep you in your mom's basement, is $75. That means Fred runs away with it, ladies and gentlemen. Runs away with it.
I don't think I've ever won.
Really? No, and he should get his own note case.
God, I had it.
Well, it's a teaser. It's a teaser because we're going to have to come back and find out what
We
the note
are
case
going to
is.
have to do that. Fred, you really don't think you've ever won before?
so.
Man, you just smoked us. Sue and
Yeah.
I weren't even on the
We're
board today.
sure nothing.
All right, the note case is coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
If you are just headed out, it looks like we've got an accident up north, but also a stall westbound 70 approaching Salisbury. If you are in that area, just expect a slow go. But there's also a jam on eastbound 270. There is an accident approaching 170, and we've got a jam that goes back through 370. Also jammed is westbound 70 past the airport. There was an incident reported near Lindbergh, and that is causing a delay behind it. Now, if you are headed into Illinois, there's some slow-moving traffic there coming off of the Poplar Street Bridge. It's just a slow go. And there's also some volume on eastbound 64 over there between 157 and 159. Your garage door is the largest piece of moving equipment in your home. When it needs help, call the experts at Overhead Door for same-day service. 314-781-5200 or online at overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
Well, I was on, truth be told, I've been talking, and I do talk about the racquetball league at the MAC. I was on injured reserve, technically, this summer because I had the health issues. But I'm back for the fall, and they just released the fall tennis schedule for those of you who play tennis out west as well. There's a lot of really cool things coming up in the fall. The MAC always hosts very unique events, and of course, the meals are outstanding. You come downtown to the downtown location, you can have a meal or an adult beverage or two, and then head on over to the stadium or to, the Blues are going to start here in a little bit more than a month, or the soccer stadium. But out west on Thursday, October 16th, there is something called Classic and Cocktails. And this is members' classic car collections. We had Alex Rosenberger on from MasterCars Inc. yesterday. He'd have some fun stuff to, donate to this. Not to donate and give away. I'm just saying to feature. And that's what happens. You have prizes and raffles, and all of this supports the MAC Sports Foundation, which benefits the MAC Charitable Society for Children. I always talk about that. Some of the philanthropic stuff that we do at the MAC. They have the Women of Distinction Awards luncheon coming up in the first week of October. And then also, if you're into trivia nights, Friday, September 19th at the West Clubhouse, there's big trivia night for the MAC as well. And you can always find out more at mac-stl.org.
97.1 FM Talk presents Talk in Action, where we shine a spotlight on local charities making a difference in our community. Join us as we give back and connect neighbors in need. Visit 971talk.com/talkinaction to learn more.
Let's just face it, right? Your home should work for you, not against you. Hi, it's Kim. And if you've been dreaming of a new kitchen, bathroom, or a finished basement, now's the time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design. They're St. Louis's trusted experts in turning houses into dream homes. Just imagine this, a spa-like bathroom, maybe a chef-inspired kitchen, Or how about a cozy basement perfect for some movie nights? Their team handles everything from design to installation so you can just sit back and enjoy the process. Visit lakesidearty.com today to start your dream renovation.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Calling all future sportscasters. Sharpen your skills and learn from the best of the Missouri Broadcasters Association Sportscasters Forum, Tuesday, September 16th in St. Louis. Join Cardinals beat reporters, broadcasters, and the legendary John Rooney, the voice of the Cardinals, for insider sessions on play-by-play, interviewing, reporting, and more. Then cap the day with a Cards-Reds game at Busch Stadium. Open to college students and broadcasting pros. Just $10 for students, lunch, and a game ticket. Space is limited. Register by September 2nd at MissouriBroadcasters.org.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy, Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Back to Mark Reardon, because someone's got to say it out loud. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis conservative.
It's amazing what George Gray brings to not only the segment The Price is Wrong, but also to fixing equipment in our studio, because Sue's mic literally
George.
fell off the what do we call those things? The
Mic-
boom.
yeah.
The mic boom. And George, you like MacGyvered the crap out of this thing.
It's
because
awesome.
The screw was stripped. So what did you do? Take a paper clip?
2 paper clips, wound them together, and then funneled them through the to the boom so that it wouldn't fall down, so Sue could actually do Sue's news.
Thank you.
You look like you had a lot of experience doing this. Does this happen on The Price is Right with the microphones a lot?
I
There's issues that you have to address.
I'm just a hillbilly. That's pretty much what it is. I work on a lot of old cars and bikes, so things break down.
Well, here's the good news is if we have to put tickets in for stuff like this. I don't know if you're familiar with the ticket world. You submit a technical, and then somebody in another city looks at it and they say, we'll be able to get to that probably December 13th or roundabout then. So you might be surprised how many times you come back into the studio between now and the end of the year, and that thing looks exactly the same, right?
I already told you what you need. Take that to an Ace Hardware, find out what the threads are, just get a longer bolt and fly it in there and you're done. You don't need to get a requisition from the corporation.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, look, we got to do the no case. Fred,
Let's do it.
Might be a little anticlimactic for you, Fred, because you write the no cases, and today you won the no case by smoking us with 3 correct answers on The Price is Wrong, Mark.
I'm really looking forward to it.
I know there's a lot of mystery, right? A lot of suspense. And then, George, just to confirm,
yes,
you never really, even though Fred gets the no case to you, the script for the no case, you don't really look at it, do you?
I do not.
Just so we know.
I do just like what I do for Price. If you watch Drew and I on the show, Drew will always have somebody come up on stage and he goes, "Hey, we're playing a great game. We're playing." And then he looks and he reads it. We're playing in the bag.
Oh, well, you guys are pros. You can pull that off.
That's how much we know. We like a little improv. It's good. All right. Are you ready for the no case?
I'm ready.
Absolutely.
Here we go. Today's No Prize Showcase. Get ready for some fast and furious traveling. Hop on a flight just at the end of this show to arrive in time at the White House to ride along tonight with President Trump and some of America's finest as they watch as they try to keep D.C. visitors safe from professional protesters.
So I don't know if you know that story, but Trump really is doing a ride along tonight.
Tonight?
Yeah,
He's already out there
Is he?
getting ready to do it.
Yeah, right. So we'll keep you posted on that.
How
That's
did
a
I
great
miss
prize.
that?
I also hear he's performing at the Kennedy Center tonight, too.
Is that tonight? I know he's doing it.
And now he's got a sound system so he's doing rap and freestyle boomboxing at the White
Rose?
House.
Yeah.
He's a busy guy. All right, here we go.
There's a lot of technical advances. I don't think his microphones are falling apart at the White House.
Good point. Good point.
Well, but wait, there's more, because tomorrow you're going to go on a new suit shopping spree with Ukrainian President Zelensky at D.C.'s Union Station.
Wow.
I'm assuming that's a good suit shop there, huh?
No, there's tons of protesters.
Lucky him. Then travel up to the East Coast and enjoy a visit to Zoran Mandami's vision of a better, kinder New York City, where you'll be joined by social workers on a free bus ride. Then visit one of Mandami's prototype government-run grocery stores and wait in line to buy milk, bread, and eggs. Wow, Fred, you were reading some heavy Russian propaganda earlier.
By the way, there are stores at Union Station, and you can buy a suit there.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
I'm
There's
guessing
restaurants and stores, and
I'm guessing this one from today is there.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably.
All right, here we go. And finally, jet back to St. Louis in time to attend a special Muni performance of the Gerrymander Boys, starring Gavin Newsom and J.B. Pritzker, and hear them sing some of the greatest hits, including Big Govs Don't Cry and Walk Like a Dem. That's it, folks. That is The Price is Wrong, Mark. Amazing. We love Mama May and Judy Reardon and Get Better Uncle Greg. Love you all.
Usually we leave a little bit of time to catch up with you and talk about The Price is Right. We've left none of that today, George. So it was great to see you.
We put it all on the table. It was all out there for people to enjoy.
I believe that this was definitely a qualifier for the best of on Labor Day. So you're going to hear this one. Tell your friends and family members it will run again on Labor Day. Thank you, George Gray.
Love you guys. Have a great day.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Well, on the roads, we've had a couple of issues out there. One of these is an accident eastbound on 270 at 170. If you are headed up in that direction, usually it looks great and there's really no problems. Well, today there is a jam. So just expect it, and on your way up, just give yourself some extra time. Traffic is really jammed behind this. Now, other than that, it hasn't been bad. Now, westbound 70 has some slow-moving traffic past the airport, and then things opened up a bit, and it's not too bad to the west of there. 6440 mainly has moderate volume, but it stretches from Kings Highway out through 270 and through Chesterfield Valley, and again at Lake St. Louis. The Illinois side has heavy traffic eastbound 5570 coming off of the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
There are a couple of NFL games tonight, preseason games, and you can actually, I'm going to kind of wait for the regular season, but if you're on Underdog Fantasy, you can have a little fun with the Champions game with Pittsburgh and Carolina, or the Patriots and the Giants, and then there's a whole slate of games into tomorrow and the weekend, the last set of preseason games. But really the messaging here is football is back, and Underdog is the best place to select entries and win money all season long. And you can play in Missouri. You can play with as little as $1. You can win up to 5,000 times your cash. And we're going to give you some bonus cash here. When you download the app, you come up with a username and your password. Download the app, sign up with the promo code MARKR. That's going to get you $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. Again, the promo code is MARKR. They make it real easy. The way you play is you just pick higher or lower on a stat line. So, for football, that would be touchdowns and interceptions and completions and yards, etc. It's very, very, very easy. Millions of fans have won billions making plays on Underdog. You could be next. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Learn more at MissouriBrushControl.com. Missouri Brush Control is helping landowners reclaim their property, manage vegetation, and clear land for better views. Enjoy your land the way you've always dreamed of. Missouri Brush Control, making acreage great again. Visit MissouriBrushControl.com.
Hey, Jeff, looks like your business is really booming, even in a tough time for businesses like ours.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, thanks to LendSeek, our business was able to take care of some outstanding bills and taxes and to purchase inventory and expand our product lines.
Wow. My business needs working capital, but only from a reputable company that I can trust and count on. How does LendSeek work?
Fast and easy. Just apply at lendseek.com. Their AI lending platform gave my business access to over 100 funding programs with one simple application. And it costs nothing to apply.
At lendseek.com, you can receive business funding with no collateral, no prepayment penalties, and no restrictions on how you use the funds. Whatever your funding needs are, seek no more. Our AI lending marketplace has you covered. If you've been in business at least 1 year with annual revenue of at least $250,000, you could get the funding your business needs in as little as 24 hours. There's no obligation, so apply today at lendseek.com. That's LENDSEEK.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. An Odyssey station. Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our summer weather certainly taking a little bit of a vacation, and we will take it. And this cool flow from the northwest gets stronger for the second half of the weekend. Mostly sunny this afternoon, 85 degrees, clear skies tonight. What a great evening. 67 for the low. Friday and Saturday sunny, 89 each day. Sunday sunny, and a high of 83, 50 Sunday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Byrne.
Away from the law school.
Fox's Kristen Goodwin. Classes at the private Catholic university have not started yet. Its students are there for orientation and registration. President Trump thanking officers this evening in Washington, D.C.
It's the Capitol. It's going to be the best in the world.
Vice President Vance and Defense Chief Hegseth visited with National Guard soldiers in Union Station yesterday. A state of emergency declared in North Carolina, even as Hurricane Erin edges away from the East Coast.
The wind and surf have been battering the beaches of the Outer Banks since early this morning. Fortunately, here in Kitty Hawk, the high tide right after sunrise did not breach the dune. It got right up to the edge of the fence. Another high tide this evening will be uneventful. However, some sound-side flooding this evening down in Carteret County as that north wind pushes the water their way.
Fox Weather's Mike Seidel in Kitty Hawk. The storm will continue to bring the threat of dangerous rip currents and coastal flooding into the weekend from the Carolinas to New England. The Supreme Court has ruled the Trump administration can slash $783 million in research funding in its push to cut diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. The High Court's conservative majority lifted a judge's order blocking the cuts made by the National Institutes of Health to align with President Trump's priorities. Plaintiffs had argued the cuts will inflict incalculable losses in public health and human life. Wall Street, the Dow lost 152. America's listening to Fox News.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Our summer weather certainly taking a little bit of a vacation, and we will take it. And this cool flow from the northwest gets stronger for the second half of the weekend. Mostly sunny this afternoon, 85 degrees, clear skies tonight. What a great evening. 67 for the low. Friday and Saturday sunny, 89 each day. Sunday sunny, and a high of 83, 50 Sunday night. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Byrne.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts. This is the Mark Reardon Show on 97.1 FM Talk.
I found this really, really interesting piece, and it was interesting because I read the whole damn thing, and then I didn't realize it was written by a young man who's probably 21 or 22 years old. His name is Sherman Criner, and he's a senior at Duke University. I think he's planning on going to law school after that. but he's studying history and political science. And he just happened to notice, and he's an intern at a group called the James G. Martin Center for Academic Renewal, that a lot of the history courses that they were offering at Duke were extremely woke. And he highlighted those in a piece that was up on Real Clear Politics that I found. And Sherman's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to my conversation with him. Again, I was like shocked when I got to the end and it said he was just a student because this thing was so well written. We have a Reardon Roundtable tomorrow. Jane will be here. Jeff Rainford on the panel, Gene Evans as well. All the fun stuff in the 4 o'clock hour. Paul Hall on entertainment. Kusamano will be here weighing in on the Cardinals. And then we have Kill Me tomorrow night, which is a little different because usually Brian's on a Wednesday or a Thursday. He had limited availability. He's got a cool show similar to the one he did here in St. Louis at the Factory for us and our audience and our listeners a few months ago. He's going down to Dallas, so he's going to be on the road, but we'll talk to Brian tomorrow afternoon. Now, on the topic of the roundtable, we have a Reardon Roundtable veteran from way back in the day in the studio with us this afternoon, Catherine Hanaway, the newly named Attorney General of Missouri. Hello, Catherine Hanaway. It's been so long since I've seen you. It's great to see you.
Mark. It's so good to see you.
Do me a favor, get real close on that microphone so people can hear you.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think a little bit better. I'll make sure that you're turned up. Well, thank you for coming in. I know that we had over the years, I had never forgotten about you on the roundtable and we reached out, but you were running a law firm, so it was a little tough at that point. But now you're back in public life. What the heck's going on here?
Well, first of all, I have to tell you that even though we haven't seen each other in years, I literally listen to you every day.
Thank you.
On the podcast. I do speed it up a little bit. I've gotten to know a lot from Sue's News because it's always very informative.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, Mark, I think it was extremely brave when you came back from your leave to talk
about
why you were out. And I think you're going to help a lot of people.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, and I haven't really gone into any great detail after that, but I was off for about 5 weeks, and really it was more than that because in June I was struggling and I had to take a couple of days off, but I had, and I was just telling George, because George Gray has been such a great supporter of mine. He was checking in on me from Hollywood a lot, but I had experienced a lot of this back in 2013 and 2014. The ship was righted thanks to a psychiatrist. I felt good for 10 years. I get back from Greece at the beginning of May and something was off right away. And the period between May 7th and just a couple of weeks ago was really torturous. It really was. But I talk about it because a lot of people, when I tell this story, Catherine, people relate. They know someone that's gone through anxiety or depression. And for me, it was kind of a double whammy. And I would say a radio friend of mine was just checking in from Maryland on me this afternoon. And I told them last week, I was like, 80% good, 20% bad. This week, I feel like 90%. So I'm not quite at 100, but I've been pushing through and feeling really good. And I've been eating because I lost like 13 pounds because when you do something like that, you just don't want to eat. I didn't when Sue was yelling at me because I wasn't eating.
That's the only aspect of that sounds appealing to me because I could always tend to lose a few.
But I appreciate that. And I do talk about it a little bit. And I've talked about it, certainly in the years in the aftermath of 2013 and 2014, because back then nobody knew what I was going through. And it was hell. It really was, both periods. So I'm luckily back on track and glad to be back on the radio. I'm not going to lie. You get to a point, and I just told George this, where when you're in the midst of all this, you think, will you ever be normal? Will you ever get better? And then I start thinking about being on the radio in my career. So, it was a tough thing, but thank you for the support and thank you for listening. Now let's get back to the reason that you're here. How far in advance did you get a call from Governor Kehoe to become the next Attorney General?
So the first call I got was a week ago Tuesday.
Okay.
So exactly a week before he announced it. And it was completely surprising. I had no idea anything was in the works. And so obviously I had to think about it, had to pray about it, talk to my family. It is such a dramatic change from the private practice of law. I'm going to have some residence in Jeff City. And I really, after a couple of days, felt like it was kind of a God thing. Like I've spent so much of my time pursuing public service and running for office, and the fact that this call would get made. I also think it speaks really highly of Governor Kehoe. I haven't been in the public eye for a long time, and yet he thought my qualifications as a former United States attorney, former Speaker of the House, suited me well to this job.
Well, I think it does too. And there's no doubt on the experience front. The one thing I think someone alluded to, and I agreed with, and this is, if it's a calling from God or from Mike Kehoe or a combination of the two, sounds like you're taking a pretty big pay cut, because the private world of being an attorney is a little bit more lucrative than being attorney general in Missouri, isn't it?
It is. But I will tell you that I think the bigger sacrifice is that my husband and I are now empty nesters. And I was a little worried about, him. Even when I was chair of the law firm, I traveled 30 weeks a year. So I finally, for the last year or so, been home a lot. And so Chris Hanaway is making a big sacrifice for the state too. Maybe he may be happy I'm gone a couple days a week.
Yeah. What are the rules? Do you have to have I got to know Andrew pretty well, and I went to Columbia and Jefferson City in February, and I met with the governor at that time, and Andrew was nice enough. It was technically a state holiday that day, but Andrew and the governor were there, and he showed me around, because his office, your office, is different than the rest of the Capitol, right? It's in the Supreme Court building. Is there a residency requirement that you have to
there
spend
is
a certain
no
amount of time
longer a
there?
residency requirement. There used to be. The law has changed, but it is by far the biggest office, and that is the office of the Attorney General, and the Missouri Supreme Court's right there. And so my intention is to spend a couple of days a week there, and just I think it's good for the state, particularly if the AG is present quite a bit when the legislature's in session.
Did you have a relationship with Andrew Bailey? Did you get to know him at all?
I did get to know him a little bit. My very good friend, Ray Wagner, was one of the people who helped him with his transition. You know Ray.
I know Ray well, right.
And, Ann very well. And so Ray had introduced us. And then, I've had a couple of cases involving the office, me representing private litigants against the office.
Let me just say something quickly, going back to our original topic, because I do know Ray and Ann very well. And when I was in the middle of my crisis, I started casting a bit of a net, because I know people who are in relatively important positions who have resources, and Ann Wagner was one of them. And I said, hey, I don't know if you know any doctors or people who specialize in this. And I mean, boom, within 12 hours, I had someone recommended, and he's now the quarterback of my psychiatric care. So, and Ray, I didn't even tell you this. Maybe I did tell you this. There was a Friday. I felt so guilty. I really did. But I was still kind of in, this mode where I wasn't ready to come back to work. And Ray and Ann were putting pressure on me. They're like, come on over, just come hang out in the pool. And I did that on one Friday when I should have been doing the roundtable, just to get out and try to normalize
that's
myself.
So good that
so
you
those
did
two
that.
have been amazing to me. They've been friends for a while, and, they came through in the moment as well. So I'm glad you brought them up. This is a position in Missouri that has not been something that people have stayed in very long recently, right? It seems like a couple of years, and then you go to the Senate, or you go to the FBI, as in Andrew's case. So obviously there are scenarios here that could take you to other positions in Missouri as well. But you're planning, I heard you in your news conference the other day, to run this term out then, and then potentially to run again, or are you committing to running again?
Well, I'm going to run this term out, and if the voters will have me, I'd like to serve another term. Absolutely. And so, look, the office has had a lot of turnover for great reasons, right? That Josh Hawley and Eric Schmidt have both gone to the United States Senate and served with distinction, and that Andrew Bailey is now going to be the deputy director of the FBI. All those things are great for Missouri. This is an important office, though. It's what protects all Missouri consumers from fraud. It protects the elderly from Medicaid fraud, and it assists in fighting violent crime throughout the state. The people who work there's 200 lawyers, there's 300 staff. It's a big office, and it needs some consistent leadership for a while. And that's what I'm committing to doing.
And this is not, I would say,
good.
you correct me if I'm wrong, but obviously as U.S. attorney, there's got to be some commonalities in how you would run the office when you were U.S. attorney compared to this.
Absolutely. And I think the first and most important thing you do in any of these leadership positions is identify the people who are capable. And so as we're transitioning, that's what I'm spending a lot of time doing, is finding out who the existing experts are in the office and making sure that they understand that what they do and that what they do is valued and that they are valued.
So have you, I don't even know, I should know, have you been sworn in and this is official now? You're the AG?
No,
that hasn't happened
September
yet.
8th.
Okay. All right. So you still got a couple of weeks in the interim.
Yeah. My law partners would kind of like me to wrap
a
up
little bit of
things at the
transition.
firm. Yeah.
Right. So how do you approach then, piggybacking on what you just said, the role of the office? Look, I'm proud of Andrew because he really and Eric did this as well, stuck their neck out there on some very important issues, including, what happened with Jamie Reed, the whistleblower here in St. Louis with WashU and Children's Hospital on the gender affirming care stuff. There were other things, that go back to COVID that even Senator Schmidt was on yesterday talking about. The criticism on the part of the left on the office is that the person in that office is not addressing the needs of the Missouri voters, but trying to make more broader political points. So do you see the office in any different way than maybe the predecessors would have handled it or not?
I don't see it in a different way. I think that it's the Solicitor General who does all of that important appellate work and briefing. That is completely separate from the Labor and Employment Division, the Consumer Fraud Division, just civil litigation, and even the violent crime section. What I think will be a little bit different in my approach is I'm going to spend a little bit more of my personal time focusing on those other things. But I will say that Eric Schmidt and Andrew Bailey left the Solicitor General's office in such good shape. They've recruited incredible people. It's grown that I think it can go a little bit on autopilot for a while we stand up everything else. The other thing I'll say is, I'll just give an example of what I mean. We probably should by now have a tornado recovery task force going after roofers who would rip people off and other things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we don't have that yet. So that's some of the nuts and bolts kinds of things we need to work on.
So when did you leave public office?
So the last time I held public office was 2009. I ran unsuccessfully for governor in 2016.
But that's a long time being out of Jeff City. But look, the dynamics have changed. I mean, there's only like 3 or 4 Democrats in the whole place now, right?
Yeah, well, and I like to take a little credit for that. That's some of the people who are a little concerned about my conservative credentials, and I know they're out there, really should maybe remember that it was a blue state until I brought the Republican majority to Missouri in 2002. Worked very hard to do that. Very proud of the fact that not only did we turn it red, but it stayed red ever since then. And that is what has allowed us to elect people like Josh Hawley and Eric Schmidt and Andrew Bailey. So, and Mike Key.
Yeah. And so what's your relationship with, I've known the governor for a while, and I think he's doing a great job at this point. I think that you probably know this from listening. I don't play the rhino game because I get accused of being, if you veer from one particular issue, then you don't meet the conservative credentials. But I think it's fair to say, like Governor Kehoe and even Catherine Hanaway, Ann Wagner, you are sometimes put in the establishment wing of the Republican Party. And that makes folks on whatever the other wing would be, if it's the MAGA wing, maybe a little uncomfortable. You know that, right?
I do know that. And if you think about what the three of us really have in common is we've been Republicans for a long time. So I'm not just sure they're just don't want to sort of call us old and that it's the next generation that they want to get to the fore. I understand that very well. I'm going to approach this office as I've approached every other office, that I'm a public servant. I'm here to serve the people of Missouri. That's the most important job. And it kind of doesn't matter what their political affiliation is. Things like somebody gets murdered in Dunklin County. It's my job to go support the prosecutor in that small county. We need more law enforcement in St. Louis. It's my job to make sure that happens. Yeah. And no matter who the victim of the crime is, that's my job.
Yeah. Back when I was a news person more than a talk show host person, I would cover a lot of trials in mid-Missouri and Columbia because I lived in Columbia after I graduated, and I got to know Kenny Hulshoff very well because Kenny was working as a special prosecutor for the AG. And what he would do in many instances is that and I don't know, Catherine, you'd have to tell me if there's a local prosecutor that either has a conflict or maybe in a little bit over their head on a particular case, there's an assistant AG that's appointed basically to prosecute some of those cases.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they come in and they assist, particularly the smaller offices that don't have a lot of resources. And you're absolutely right. Former Congressman Hulshoff was kind of the leader of that.
He was a great prosecutor. When he went to Congress, that was the one thing that I said, because I was in the courtroom with him quite a bit watching death penalty cases. And I always kind of regret not writing a lot of the details down for a book or, at the very least, an episode of not Murder, She Wrote, but like Law and Order, because some of the cases were just fascinating, really, really fascinating. And he was such a damn good prosecutor, and just getting to, see him work in the courtroom was very interesting. So
can I tell you one quick Kenny Hulshoff story? So I was I can't remember exactly what the case was that I was involved in, but it was a case where we were a little bit worried about everybody's safety. And Kenny was telling me about trying a case. And, most courthouses don't let you carry your concealed weapon into the courthouse. Right. And so Kenny at one point expressed similar concerns about safety. He was sharing the story with me. And the guy next to him, or he asked the guy next to him, "Are you carrying today?" And he said, "You mean you're not?" Like,
yeah.
So rural Missouri is a little different ethic.
Different. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I got to ask you about this, and I know you addressed this the other day, that you would recuse yourself on a couple of different situations, but I had some farmers that reached out about the Grain Belt Express situation, and that's something that I'm told that Andrew Bailey and Josh Hawley fought hard against, and you were actually someone who was representing the other side of that. Is that true? And how do you handle that case moving forward?
Our firm had been retained to represent Invenergy, who is building that transmission line, and obviously, once I go to the AG's office, I can't work against a former client. And so I'll recuse, but the team that's been working on this forever will continue to work on it. That's not going to change.
Okay. Yeah. And that's, I think, what the concern was, because there's been momentum heading in that direction. Was there something else that you have to kind of recuse yourself from too? Or
there are going to be other things. Nothing comes to mind immediately, but I have clients. So we just have to go through the conflicts list once I get there.
Well, thank you for coming in person. I really appreciate that, especially in the first couple of days after this gets announced. You have to be excited, because you don't take something like this unless you want to put your all into it, right?
I really do count on you, Mark, for my conservative view, particularly of local stuff. So this is the first live interview I'm doing. I really have a high regard for you.
Nice.
Well,
and
that's
I've come to
appreciated.
love Sue on the air.
Yeah.
Too.
Well, Sue is awesome. That's why. Look, in going back to Andrew, this is what I love about some of these folks like you, and I feel very honored by it. But I've gotten messages like on a Friday night when Andrew's driving back and he's listening to the roundtable on the podcast. And he's like, "Great show. I love it." So that gives me a thrill as well. But I appreciate it. We go way back. And look, I don't know how much you remember about this, but you were on the roundtable with Jeff Smith the week before he was indicted. And
I've heard you teasing this.
And I mean, I just do like a Sixth Sense type of thing, thinking back to that Friday afternoon, because you were both sitting across from one another. You both knew what was going on, right? But couldn't say anything. And then that story broke the next week after that.
It was a little uncomfortable that day.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that. That's one of my favorite stories. Catherine, great to see you. Thank you so much. Good luck with everything. I know we'll communicate very effectively moving forward. I appreciate it.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
This afternoon, we've got an accident westbound 70 near Kings Highway, and it's created a jam behind it. Now, the other serious jam is eastbound 5564 at the 70 split, but it starts just as you come off the Poplar. Eastbound 64 also slowing 157 through 159. And if you are westbound on 64 out of downtown, just expect the usual slow go. So that's approaching Kings Highway, out through McCausland, a little bit through Chesterfield Valley, and again at Lake St. Louis Boulevard. Southbound 270 slowing at Olive and at Doherty Ferry. 55 is slowing, but it's mainly right there at Bates. This report brought to you by Barron Mirror, Glass, and Door. They have the largest, most beautiful showroom in all of St. Louis, full of the latest, most custom designs. It's in Chesterfield Valley, and there you'll see why they say creativity unlimited, quality unsurpassed. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Hey, it's Mark. And between now and the end of summer, chances are you or someone you know is in the market to buy or sell a home. And like me, you probably know a few realtors. In fact, I know several. However, when I needed to sell my home, I made just one call to Gloria Lou with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Yes, I'm an actual client. No matter what the market does, Gloria Lou will guarantee up front and in writing to sell your home at 100% of market value, or Gloria will pay you the difference.
St. Louis home sellers, if you're looking for certainty and the most money guaranteed for the sale of your home, call me, Gloria Lou. My name is My Promise, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Call me directly at 314-325-6888 or visit me online at gloriahasthebuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
What's the most important thing when it comes to getting your roof replaced? Honesty, because honestly, most of us don't know what it takes to replace a roof. Mark Cox here from my friends at Correll Roofing Company. Curtis Correll is a friend of mine. I've known him for many years. And when he came to my house to look at my roof, he brought back pictures and showed me where the damage was from the hail. He worked with my insurance adjuster. He made sure I understood exactly what they would be replacing on my roof. Are they putting down felt? Are they replacing any wood? What quality of shingle are you getting on your roof? These are all questions most of us don't know to ask, so you need to be able to trust the person who is doing the work for you. You can trust Curtis Correll. He's got crews with over 20 years of experience. He pays attention to detail with quality materials and workmanship. Call him at 314-222-9529. That's 314-222-9529 or Correll Roofing Co. on Facebook.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Story Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Story Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
From politics to pop culture, Reardon breaks it all down. 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
I wanted to do this yesterday, and I had run out of time, but I thought that this was very interesting. The numbers. Shane Goldmacher is a reporter at the New York Times, and they wrote a story yesterday into some voter registration numbers, Republicans versus Democrats. Now, here in Missouri, you do not have to declare, whether you're registered as a Republican or a Democrat. 30 states, you do that. In Missouri, we have partisan ballots. So, for example, if you have a primary election, which we'll have another one next year, for some offices, you'll go in August and you have to pick a Republican or a Democrat ballot. Then in the general election, you don't have that. But in 30 different states, there are registration numbers that are kept, partisan registration. So Shane and another reporter at the New York Times put this report together. I think this was relatively good journalism. Between 2020 and 2024, Democrats lost 2.1 million voters in those 30 states, plus the District of Columbia. The GOP gained 2.4 million. That is quite a swing. But what he said was, and he kind of did this in not only the report that was in the Times yesterday, but on a tweet string, by percentage, Democrats went from nearly an 11-point edge over Republicans in 2020 to just over a 6-point edge in 2024. He says along the way, some states have flipped to GOP registration edge entirely. Florida, of course, is one. But then he's talking about, look, in Pennsylvania, which is the battleground, right? It was all about Pennsylvania last time. Democrats had registration advantages of 517,310 among active voters in November of 2020. Right now, only 53,000 voter advantage. In North Carolina, Republicans erased roughly 95% of the registration advantage the Democrats had in the fall of 2020 by this summer. The Democratic edge is less than 17,000, down from nearly 400,000 in 2020. Shane's reporting says some have dismissed the registration as a lagging indicator in the past, but in 2024, it proved very accurate. Democrat weaknesses were concentrated where Trump was strongest among young men and younger voters. There are few better measurement of a party's brand than who actively chooses to identify and register with it. And fewer voters are choosing to become Democrats. Now, this is interesting from a variety of perspectives. A couple of footnotes here. One thing he says is, when it comes to takeaways, many voters are choosing to be political independents by not registering with either major party. But of the people who do choose between the two main parties, the Democrats' share has been cratering, according to the analysis.
Wow.
In 2018, Democrats accounted for 63% of voters who newly registered as either Democrat or Republican. By 2024, that had shrunk to less than 48%. So it's significant because, look, the conventional wisdom is always, and Sue, I mentioned this a couple of times this week, we're already talking about the future. And the future, part of the future is the midterms next year, right? When Congress then will all be up. Every member of the House is up for re-election every 2 years, and control of the House will be on the line. So typically, when you get into a situation like that, you the party in control loses seats, and sometimes significant numbers of seats. So that's why even when we had Sean Spicer on a couple of days ago, we were talking about Texas is going to redistrict and maybe they get 5 seats. California is going to do the same. They take away 5. Is it even? Then maybe Missouri gets into this, although Governor Kehoe is denying that he's going to go forward with this, even though it's still being reported out there. But again, the numbers kind of fluctuate. They go back and forth a little bit. But most people, if you're pressing them right now, like I'll bring this up tomorrow on the roundtable, what's going to happen in the midterms? Well, in all likelihood, just because this is history, it would swing back to the Democrats, right? Now, maybe it would be a big swing. Maybe it would be a small swing. Now, that's not, when you hear, this is why I'm going to throw the red, challenge flag. You hear numbers like the New York Times just reported on. I think that that's fascinating. And I think that that kind of, blows up the whole notion that the midterms could go in one direction versus another. I think I had something from JD Vance on this because he talked about, Laura brought this up last night on her show when the vice president was on.
Sounding like crazy people. That really is all it is. You've got to be yourself. You've actually got to talk to people honestly about the issues. I don't think it's that complicated. Don't be a crazy person. Be authentic.
Is this a moment where we could see the midterm curse reversed and the Republican Party gain some ground?
I think we have a good chance, but take nothing for granted. Keep on achieving victories for the American people and keep on trying to win. That's our path to being able to continue to govern this country.
Being authentic is so important. I alluded to this when I had Senator Schmidt on last night, because I think he's just like, he's a real person. He follows baseball and pop culture and music and stuff like that. And JD Vance is like that a lot. And I think I tried to make this point yesterday, and I don't know if I did it effectively. There was a point where I think a lot of people felt like, how can we identify with these pencil neck geek Republicans who are all dorky and dweeby and their hair's, super stiff? They're not real people that we can relate to. Now you have an example of people that I think you can relate to, that younger people can relate to. And then look at Trump tonight. I can't wait to see what the coverage is going to be like. He's doing a ride around and visiting some of the National Guard members in D.C. This is not altogether unlike going to McDonald's and doing a little work, or driving a trash truck in Green Bay. These are the type of things that people really do like to see, and they're relatable. And that's where I think Senator Schmidt and JD Vance have a lot of strength compared to other people in the party, for sure. All right, I've been talking about this for a couple hours now, promoting it. I'm looking forward to the conversation with Sherman Criner. He's a senior at Duke University. He wrote a piece that really caught my attention about what they're doing with their history professors. And it's not just Duke, let's face it. It's other universities. When I first read the piece, I did not know it was from a young student. He hasn't even graduated yet, but he's very sharp. He's coming up next on 97.1 FM Talk.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this afternoon, we really have had some issues. And if you are headed into Illinois, it's still a jam coming off the Poplar Street Bridge. And this is eastbound as you head for the 70 split. That's a slow go. 55 southbound, still a slow go at Bates. Westbound 70 is thinning out nicely. We had an earlier accident near Kings Highway. And 6440 is still slow. Kings Highway out through McCausland, but then it's moderate volume on either side of Lindbergh and again out of Prospect. And other than that, we really are okay. Southbound 270 is just moderate volume approaching Olive down through 40, and northbound's a little slow in there. This report brought to you by the Diamond Shop. The Diamond Shop, making St. Louis sparkle for over 100 years. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's Traffic 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
Audio cut of the day is coming up as well this afternoon. Let's talk about the Retirement Advisory Group and what they can do for you here in St. Louis. We're going to announce another seminar with the crew very, very soon. But if you need help when it comes to either segueing into your retirement that you're very close to right now, maybe you're far away from retirement, maybe you've already retired and you're just looking for some different type of strategy moving forward, because we know that inflation is taking away from the money, the wealth that you have saved, and you don't want that to happen. The market is kind of hinky-jinky all the time. We've been in correction territory a little bit earlier this year, but Thomas Helbig and his team, which includes his nephew Bob Kershaw and Bob's wife Tammy, they have different strategies. The secret, they will tell you, is safely linking to the market. How have they never lost a client, a penny of their principal? They'll explain it to you, and you can do it in a couple of different ways. You can wait for the seminar that we'll announce very soon, or you can go one-on-one into the office, make an appointment. It's a free retirement review. You'll get a copy of their latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. They've been doing this for almost 40 years. They knock it out of the park. We have great seminars with the team. They're the official financial planners of this show, the Retirement Advisory Group. They're online at retirementkey.com.
Hey, it's Annie with my friend Stewie, and you know Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan gets you your mortgage or your refinance at no closing costs. And I have Stewie with me right now. You're all about saving people money. Fiscal responsibility is really in right now, and you've got something up your sleeve for these folks.
You know what, Annie? Some people like to get better cash flow. Other people just want to pay off all their debt. So we're going to do something very, very unique. In Scotland, it was traditional to paint the door red once you paid off your mortgage. So we're going to give you the Red Bagel Challenge. If you refinance with us and you consolidate your debt and you get your mortgage paid off in half the period of time remaining, we're going to give you a $1,000 bonus at the end of that term.
Well, Stewie's all about helping you build your wealth and build equity, and the Bagel Loan is another way to do it. Remember, no closing costs with the Bagel Loan. Reach out to Stewie directly with 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You can Google Bagel Loan for more information, and MLS number 226715.
Have you been notified that your subsidy for Obamacare health insurance is going away? Well, you can leave now while you're still healthy and qualify for much better individual plans. Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com has been helping people get affordable health insurance with great coverage for over 35 years. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA marketplace. You can pick your doctors. For most claims, you won't even pay a deductible, and they're 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. One more thing, there's no tax penalty at the end of the year. Greg even has plans that are guaranteed acceptance. If you pay for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employer coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to greghammonds.com. That's greghammonds.com. He can custom design a plan by you, not the government.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
537. This portion of the show is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air.
Freedom has a frequency. 97.1 FM Talk.
97.1 FM Talk.
St. Louis Conservative.
Well, let's go down the path of academic malpractice at Duke University. Sherman Criner is here. He studies at Duke. He also is an intern at the James D. Martin Center for Academic Renewal. And he wrote a piece that caught my attention that was up on Real Clear Politics. We're going to talk about the history course offerings that are very unique or maybe not so at Duke. How are you, Sherman Criner? Thanks for coming on 97.1 FM Talk.
I'm doing well. Just finished doing some studying for the LSAT, getting ready to go back to Duke. So can't really complain.
So you are are you a graduate or are you a senior and then you're going to law school? What's the plan here, just so we can set the stage?
So I'm a rising senior. The plan is to go to law school, probably do some other kind of graduate work, maybe in theology, history, philosophy. Don't really know. Kind of depends on if I get a scholarship somewhere. But the plan is grad school. Don't know what exactly, though.
So what led you, this is I would call this a courageous and, by the way, extremely well-written piece about what's happening in your experience at Duke with the history department. But what inspired you in particular? Was there something, you highlight a lot of different things here that I think people need to hear about, but usually when people write things like this, it's after they've graduated or it's after they've left their place of employment. So that's one interesting aspect here. How did it come about?
So I think there's really two reasons why I wrote it. One, I have a pretty good relationship with the history department. So I think like if you read the piece, it comes across pretty clear that I'm not like hating on the history department for the sake of hating on it. Like I expect that like the people who read it are going to know me, are going to have like an understanding of my character, and are not going to take this as just like, some kind of unfounded criticism. So that's kind of the first thing. Like I don't, to address what you're saying, like most people wouldn't publish this. I don't really expect, any kind of crazy repercussion because I know the people in the department. But the second thing is more just, a general kind of, I guess you could say annoyance, maybe just that whenever I scroll on the course directory, I've had a lot of family members who studied history, and the courses they talked about when they were in college just aren't really offered at Duke. I don't think there's a single course offered on the American founding, which is someone interested in law. That's pretty frustrating when you come to what's ostensibly, a top research university, and you have no ability to learn about George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison. So we just had to buy a book on Amazon to read about James Madison because I can't take a course on him at Duke. So it's more just, there's a dearth of courses. I kind of recognize that, talked to a lot of friends in the history department, and just kind of realized it's not like I'm not the only person with this feeling. It's a pretty common feeling among the 9 history majors at Duke. So yeah, it just kind of came about as a result of, realizing there's a problem and somebody needs to write about it, but not write about it, in one of these overly exaggerated, there's like a deep state changing the curriculum, more just, we need to better educate people, give them better access to history. And it seems like Duke, whether, intentionally or not, isn't actually giving people access to all the courses that they should.
Yeah, you start actually I like the way you start the piece, because you basically say, look, maybe imagine for a moment it's 2500 and we're all gone, right? And then one day there's aliens that land on the planet. They're in North Carolina. They start to study the ruins of a place called Duke University, and they would find a course directory from the history department in 2025. And what would that reveal to those alien visitors? Would they know about the Revolutionary War and Washington crossing the Delaware, the debates at Valley Forge, all these things that certainly happened, and we're about to enter into our 250th birthday celebration next year. But your point is, no, they would not, right? They'd know a lot less about those things as opposed to things that are associated with identity politics.
Right. And the idea was trying to a skeptical reader, framing what the problem is, because it's really easy, to when you're talking, like the main kind of force of the piece is critiquing how there's an imbalance with these kind of identitarian based courses versus, what I call traditional survey courses. So that would be like a course that covers a 200-year period of European history or American history or something. It talks about broad scope of cultural and cultural, political, whatever issues. And that if the goal of the historian is to just teach people about what happened and not about what we think we would like to say about what happened, or how what happened makes us feel in the present. If the goal of the historian is literally just to tell people what happened, what were the important events in history, I think maybe we should be teaching people about what happened. And so I think that's kind of why I started out with that little thought experiment.
And you say later on, look, this is not a critique of courses on race or social justice. There are legitimate fields of inquiry, and those certainly can illuminate dimensions of the American past. But the problem is the balance here, right? And give some examples of how the imbalance exists with the course titles and some of the things that are focusing on, the identity politics and through that lens.
Right. So the imbalance, I think the clearest one is we have 16 professors who study North American and American history. And of those 16, there's only 4 who do not teach American history from an identitarian lens, meaning social justice, some kind of gendered issue, racial issue. Their dissertations, 16 of those 16, there's only 4 who didn't write a dissertation on like race, slavery, women's issues, social justice. So you already have a very narrowed scope of which professors are teaching which courses. But then on top of that, the courses themselves, I believe I'm trying to remember the exact statistic, but I believe it's 51% of the courses are taught from these lenses, which, I mean, obviously we know the world and American history are much more complicated than race and social justice and all these things. So that alone kind of demonstrates, this imbalance. And there's like some of the courses I cite are kind of have silly names. Like there's historicizing whiteness, there's white people, there's one that's like solidarity, something about Asian American history. Like it's these courses you could kind of type in ChatGPT, like generate social justice course name, and it'll spit some of those out. But it really, a lot of this stands in stark contrast to, and later in the piece, when I talk about how the curriculum used to be, instead of having, I think it's like 51% to 49% social justice to survey-based courses, back in the, I think 1997 to 1998, it was something 2-to-1 survey to social justice courses. So it's pretty bad imbalance. You can still take good history courses, but it's just, it's a lot harder to.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the way you highlight one of these. There's a course called White People in Anthropological Perspective, which is not taught by a white dude, is it?
No. And yeah, I mean, it's really, that one, that's just always been something that's hilarious to me. That's just because when you're scrolling through the course directory, you see the history of the U.S. national parks, you see the history of the Civil War, and you just see white people, and you're like, what in the world is this course about? Like it just like pops off the page at you. So I just kind of had to laugh at that when I saw it.
This one popped off the page for me. History of Latinxes in the United States. I wonder if in that course they have any kind of attention to the fact that there's a lot of Hispanic people in this country that hate that term outside of the LA Times, which loves it and forces it on people. It's hilarious because it's not a term that is, even welcome in the Hispanic community, but white professors seem to like it quite a bit, I think.
Right. And I was also joking with somebody too about that course, that must be a very, very narrow scope, because this idea of Latinx only came up in the last like 5-10 years.
Right.
And so it's like a history. I mean, even when I say, it's not really history because it's so recent, Duke actually has a course called History of the Present. So I guess depending on who you ask, history is like, when I think of history, I think of hundreds of years ago. And like, obviously recent history is important, but it seems like a lot of these history courses now are just so focused on present events and recent things because they just kind of have rejected, that there's any value to tradition and all this. So yeah, it's an interesting time.
Sherman Criner is here. He's a senior at Duke University and wrote this great piece about how Duke is abandoning American history. Have you ever engaged with any of the professors that teach some of the identity politics courses, even, before you wrote this piece or after, and had a discussion about, the lens from which they see things and the concerns that you have? Have you had a dialogue like that with any professors?
I did, but it was not on an American history course. And I think I say that in the piece where I say something to the effect of, I've taken courses before from these professors who teach these kind of identitarian-based courses. And, it's not that they're always infusing their course with this identitarian stuff. It's more they just have a very different way that they perceive history. And so that's kind of where I end off the piece on is, it depends on like, is the purpose of history so that we can like learn, about the broad themes and kind of transcendent questions that seem to connect across all of history? Or is it more just to see how people interpreted themselves within history? And so it's this really fundamental tension. And obviously these professors tend to fall on one side of the debate. I, based on this piece, fall on another side.
Yeah.
But it's not that, they're like crazy activists or bad people or bad scholars. It's just they have a very, very different view of history. And so I think it's something worth debating. It's definitely seems to be the orthodoxy at Duke. It's, it's not for me. Again, have taken great courses, but I just thought it would be worth pointing out that, it seems like our history department is really, really focused on this one narrow interpretation of history.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of a disservice to students.
Right. But see, the thing is, and I think this, it's not just Duke, right? It's not just Duke's history department. This is very common, and in particular at the elite universities. Now, let me flip it around on you here, because I understand the criticism and everything, but man, it seems to me, this is why you stand out as a rarity, that a lot of these young people go into these colleges. They love this stuff. They eat it up. We're the oppressors, white people bad. So some of it might be demand from the students, Sherman. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
If it is demand from the students, I haven't seen it because, I was looking at the course directory this morning, and the courses taught by these professors are rarely ever filled. Like, they're generally pretty open.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Right. And so I think it's more just a broad cultural trend. It's not, I don't even think it's the professors themselves or the administrators of the department who are the ones really creating these courses in a particular way. Like, this is just their niche of study, and kind of history as a field of study started moving in this more identitarian direction. They just kind of went with that broader cultural trend, and this is kind of where it gets us. And I think the fact that people aren't taking the courses probably shows that it's not going to be a very lasting trend. Probably a return to Western Civ or something like that. But yeah, students don't seem particularly interested.
All right, I like that answer. That's good. Well, listen, extremely well written. I give you a lot of credit here. It's very well researched, and I was very impressed with it. And I really appreciate you coming on here. And good luck with everything. I feel like you have a strong future, Sherman, coming up. And good luck with the final year at Duke, and then your law school, and becoming the next president, or whatever might be on your list there. I think you can do it.
Well, I appreciate all of that. Thank you very much.
Take care. You have a great weekend.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Things are thinning out on the roads. Now, westbound 70, just some moderate volume at Jennings Station Road. Then again at Wentzville. So it's great in between. 64, a little bit of volume at Clayton Skinker. Eastbound slowing at Big Bend. But then it's wide open and it doesn't slow. There's a little bit of volume out at the 70 split. If you are headed into Illinois, though, the Poplar Street Bridge is fine. But once you get off there is some slow-moving traffic as you head for the 70 split. And that is generally road work. Yeah. This report brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out, windows, siding, kitchens, baths, outdoor spaces, and they deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
97.1 FM Talk is proud to support the Make Missouri Pro-Life Again banquet. Mark Cox here. Join me Monday, September 8th at the St. Charles Convention Center with special guest speaker Laura Trump. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
That baby's gone! Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals. That ball was mashed. And there are more ways to watch this season. Holy cow! Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts. How about that play? Or watch through a TV provider. Incredible! Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more. He got it! Learn more at cardinals.com/TV. Ball game! That couldn't have worked out any better for the Cardinals.
Trucking accidents can change your life in an instant. The injuries, the bills, the stress. It's overwhelming. That's why you need a legal team that understands what you're going through and knows how to fight for what you deserve. At Kaufman Townsley, we've helped real people in St. Louis get real results after serious truck crashes. We know the roads, we know the law, and we know how to win. Kaufman Townsley, real people, real results. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
Are you looking to hire? ZipRecruiter finds the best candidate for your job fast. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Reardon's back. Smarter talk for the Show Me State. 97.1 FM Talk. St. Louis Conservative.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Well, I addressed this a little earlier. Something happened on the National Mall in Washington where there was a migrant who was being arrested by ICE, and he was screaming and yelling. And so then the reporter from Channel 4 in D.C. who was watching all this happen had to ask some questions of her own.
What is he being arrested for?
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas? David Pérez, Giovanni. Okay. Yo no hice nada.
Can you tell us?
So it made him seem like he was just, a guy. He's yelling, "I'm not a criminal. I work here. I want to be with my family." So then much of the left went on Twitter saying this is a horrible thing. This is, this is what the fascists do. This is what the Nazis do. Slight problem with that. He's from Mexico. He has a final order of removal. He entered the country 3 times. Oh, yeah, and he was arrested for felony sexual battery against a minor under 13 years old. Now, Jessica Tarlov, who's on the 5 on Fox, actually had a tweet about this and said some things that she had to apologize for. She said, this does not make D.C. safer. It'll just make people not come to D.C. The cruelty is always the point. Well, she got called out on that on the 5 on Fox earlier this afternoon. To her credit, she did apologize on Twitter as well.
I defended an alleged child rapist yesterday by accident. So I don't really have many legs to stand on, but I am going to, which I apologize for. And I would like that to be duly noted.
It is duly noted because a lot of people who chimed in on this on Twitter did not do that yesterday. Hey, we're back for the roundtable tomorrow at 3. Have a great night.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Still thinning out nicely, but if you're headed into Illinois, there's a delay coming off the Poplar Street Bridge, and this is eastbound. So as you head for the 70 split, southbound 170 slowing at eastbound 40, which is a little slow there at Big Bend. And that's about it. For the most part, other than that, we are in great shape. I'm Sue Thomas, and that's traffic on 97.1 FM Talk, St. Louis Conservative.
6 iconic names, 2 bobbleheads, 1 unforgettable night. Join us Friday, September 5th as the Cardinals face off with the Giants and celebrate the 1985 National League Championship. That night, 20,000 fans 16 and older will take home one of 2 1985 triple bobbleheads, courtesy of Coca-Cola and Deerbergs. Whether it's the legendary Coleman, McGee, and Smith, or the iconic Tudor, Cox, and Andujar, you won't want to miss your chance to get this unique triple bobblehead. Tickets are available at cardinals.com/promotions.
Head to the stadium on Saturday, September